Chapter 1961. At the very least, he wouldn't dare to do it himself. At most, he would use someone else to do it. However, with the power of her, the 8 mythical beasts, and the entire Mo palace, as long as he didn't do it himself, it wouldn't be easy to find someone he could borrow. Ning Shuma tidied up the flower bed while thinking about her next move. First, she would improve her alchemy skills, then look for herbs. She also had to restrain the entire Mo palace and make them be careful with their words and actions. She didn't want Luo Jiuchen to find a reason to take revenge on her. She believed that this bastard would do it. Devil Master, Lord Luo, is here to visit. Speaking of the devil, General Manager Himu reported from outside. Ning Xiuema frowned. She had been avoiding him all this time. She was afraid that this fellow would find another reason to come again. She would just deal with whatever came her way. In the hall, General Manager Himu personally welcomed Luo Jiuchen in. He didn't sit in the guest seat, but at the head of the table. When Ning Xiuema came in, he was leisurely drinking the tea General Manager Himu served. Seeing Ning Xiuema's pale face, as if she would be blown away by a gust of wind, the teacup in his hand paused. He stood up with a smile on his face. "Mo." Ning Xiuema looked at where he was sitting. She didn't say anything and just nodded at him. Then, she took out a few flowers from nowhere and placed them in a small vase beside the guest seat. The flowers were very beautiful, and they looked even more delicate when set off by the milky white vase. Luo Jiuchen didn't know what she was doing, so he just sat there and looked at her elegantly. After she was done, Ning Xiuema took 2 steps back, as if to see if there was anything wrong. Luo Jiuchen was also a distinguished person. Flower arrangements were often done by distinguished and elegant scholars, so he naturally had his own taste. He was also an expert in flower arrangement. He looked at the vase of flowers that Ning Xiuema had arranged. It was beautiful, but there were still flaws. His heart skipped a beat, and he walked over with a smile. "I know a thing or two about flower arrangements. Do you want me to help you?" Ning Xiuema glanced at him. "You know how?" "Of course." Luo Jiuchen wanted to show off his ability in front of her, so he began to arrange flowers. After rearranging the flowers, he took a step back and said with a smile, "How about this? Your Excellency's skill is indeed not bad." Ning Xiuema's voice rang out not far away. Luo Jiuchen raised his head and was slightly startled. He didn't know when Ning Xiuema had returned to the main seat and was looking at him lazily with a smile that wasn't a smile. "Luo Jiuchen." Ning Xiuema waved to the guest seat and said, "Please sit down." The little lass had actually managed to trick him without batting an eyelid, allowing him to regain control of his position. Not only that, with a wave of her hand, a gust of wind from her sleeves caused the cup of tea that he had just placed on the main table to fall to the ground with a bang. Ning Xiuema exclaimed, "I'm sorry." She then instructed Manager Himu, "Go and prepare another cup of fragrant tea for Mr. Luo. Mr. Luo is an honored guest, so he should have the best tea. Let's use the circle tea I obtained from Tian Peng Mountain." Manager Himu paused for a moment, then nodded in agreement and went to prepare the tea. Luo Jiuchen muttered to himself. After all, he hadn't been out in the world for 50,000 years. He had heard of Tian Peng Mountain, but he had no idea what circle tea was. After a short while, Manager Himu brought over a porcelain cup and gently placed it in front of Luo Jiuchen. "Mr. Luo, please enjoy." The tea in the cup was a dark yellow color, and the smell was a bit strange. Chapter 1962. "Mr. Luo, please." Ning Xiuema made an inviting gesture to him. "I picked this myself that day. The smell may not be that good, but the taste is still very authentic. Mr. Luo will know once you taste it." It was rare for Ning Xiuema to be so warm to him. Although Luo Jiuchen was a bit suspicious, he still picked up the cup. He often studied poisons, so he could tell whether or not this cup of tea was poisonous with just a sniff. He knew that this cup was indeed tea and that she didn't do anything to it. In order to win her favor, Luo Jiuchen braced himself and took a sip. As soon as the tea entered his mouth, his stomach churned, and he almost vomited. What strange taste! It was bitter and astringent, with a faint smell of sweat. Luo Jiuchen was also a person who had tasted countless good teas, but he had never tasted such a disgusting tea in his life. Ning Xiaoma looked at him with a pair of bright eyes. How is it? Isn't the taste quite special? She looked like she was really giving him a cup of excellent tea. Luo Jiuchen suppressed the strange taste in his stomach. He wanted to rinse his mouth, but he couldn't find anything to rinse his mouth with. Hearing Ning Xiaoma's question, he reluctantly said, "The taste is a bit strange." Ning Xiaoma smiled slightly. This is the characteristic of this tea. Just like stinky tofu, it smells bad, but it tastes quite good. Luo Jiuchen's lips twitched. This was clearly smelling bad, but drinking it smelled even worse. His eyes flashed. IMO, this kind of good tea shouldn't be enjoyed by me alone. You should also have a cup. He had already vaguely guessed that she was messing with him. Ning Xiaoma smiled calmly. This kind of tea can only be drunk by men. Women can't drink it. This seat only serves this kind of tea to male guests. Luo Jiuchen looked at the sunken tea in the teacup. The more he looked at it, the stranger it seemed. It didn't look like tea, but more like grass. He was also an expert. After a moment of observation, he finally recognized the original appearance of this thing. This was clearly the mat grass used to weave straw hats. And looking at the color, it wasn't fresh. Instead, it had been used for a long time. It was already dark and shiny. He secretly gritted his teeth, and his gaze fell on Ning Xiaoma. I wonder how this tea was made? Ning Xiaoma said seriously, the method of making this tea is extremely complicated. It took the grandson of Marshal Tian Peng to carefully refine it for a year. Head steward Heimu's lips twitched as he listened. This so-called pen tea was actually disassembled from a broken straw hat, and the straw hat that was given to Luo Jiuchen had been trampled by pigs countless times in the pigsty. Luo Jiuchen knew that he had been tricked by her, but every word she said was so dignified and enthusiastic that he couldn't lose his temper for a while. What's more, he still had the idea of trying to win her back with gentle tactics. He didn't want to fall out with her, and he couldn't find a reason to do so at the moment. Just because of a cup of tea that you don't like? If word got out, it would be bad for his reputation. Therefore, he had no choice but to suffer in silence. He put down the cup of tea and changed the topic. Mo, I heard that you were unwell a few days ago. Are you better now? Ning Xiaoma smiled. It's all thanks to you. Her injury was completely caused by him. Luo Jiuchen naturally heard the sarcasm in her words, but he pretended not to hear it. He took out a small crystal bottle from his chest and handed it over. Mo, this medicine is very good for your illness. Consider it a little gift from this king. Chapter 1963. Ning Xiaoma took it and glanced at it before throwing it back to him with a smile. Thank you, but I don't need it anymore. I have something better. She casually took out a bottle of medicine left by Shun Julie and shook it. Luo Jiuchen was speechless. Although he had been snubbed several times, he didn't have any intention of leaving. Instead, he continued to chat with Ning Xiaoma. Ning Xiaoma didn't want to socialize with him anymore. She picked up the teacup. Please have some tea. This was the standard way of sending a guest off. Luo Jiuchen finally stood up and suddenly smiled. He looked at Ning Xiaoma. Mo, although the supreme divinity is gone, I'm still here. You're an orphan and widowed mother, so you need someone to rely on. I'm willing to be your support. Ning Xiaoma stood up with a smile. Her voice was gentle, but her tone wasn't. I'm the Devil Lord. I don't need anyone to rely on. Mr. Luo, please go back. Imu, see the guest out. She directly asked him to leave. As soon as she finished speaking, there was a sudden noise outside. The noise was unusual. Manager Himu immediately went out to contact the guards at the door. The guards reported that the venerable of the cultivation sects in the human world had brought a group of people to see the Devil Lord. There were 3 monarchs in the human world, but the real power was held by the venerable of the cultivation sections. He was also the state preceptor of the 3 countries. His martial arts were amazing, and his power was overwhelming. No one dared to underestimate him. In the sealing of the purple demon, this state preceptor had come and helped. Why did he suddenly come here? And why did he bring a group of people with him? Ning Xiaoma couldn't refuse at this time, so she ordered the guards to bring people in. A moment later, the state preceptor came in with 18 subordinates. They obviously didn't come with good intentions. But that wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that the subordinates were holding a person with a devil-locking chain. Manager He Mu's eyes widened at the sight of this person. Feng Wang, the person being held, was one of the 8 male guardians of the devil realm. Ning Shuma narrowed her eyes when she saw her own protector being dragged in like a dog. State Preceptor Kong Jing, what is the meaning of this? Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing was also furious, but he still bowed to Ning Shuma and Luo Jiuchen according to etiquette. Devil Master, this man suddenly ran in my Mirror Heart Palace yesterday and raped my wife. He even killed and injured 4 of my trusted disciples. If I hadn't arrived personally and brought people to capture him, I'm afraid my Mirror Heart Palace would have been destroyed by him. I have always been respectful to the Devil Lord, and I have never dared to overstep my boundaries. Now, this person has come to destroy my Mirror Heart Palace. What is his intention? Before Ning Xiuma could say anything, Head Steward He Mu said decisively, "Impossible. Feng Huang had never been close to women. Why would he rape your wife?" Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing said angrily, "He was caught in bed by my trusted disciples. Who would accuse him in front of so many people?" He was evidently prepared early on, and he actually took out a crystal ball. This crystal ball belongs to my bedroom, and it inadvertently recorded the entire process. If the Devil Lord doesn't believe me, this one is willing to open this crystal ball. He even brought a short video. Since he brought it, it was only natural to play it as proof. Ning Xiuma had no intention of refusing. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing opened the crystal ball as expected, and the crystal ball displayed all sorts of scenes. The State Preceptor's wife was dressing up at the table when Feng Huang jumped in through the window. She just cried out when Feng Huang covered her mouth. Chapter 1964. The State Preceptor's wife was dressing up at the table when Feng Huang jumped in through the window. The State Preceptor's wife had just cried out in shock when Feng Huang covered her mouth and pushed her onto the bed. He stripped her clothes, struggled, and raped her. The scenes were extremely clear. It was indeed irrefutable evidence. It didn't look photoshopped at all. There shouldn't be such things in this era. After the rape scene was played, the demon generals in the hall, who had been enraged by the capture of their companion, looked at each other, speechless. After Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing finished playing, he raised his head proudly and looked at Ning Xiuma. "Demon Master, can't you believe me after seeing all this?" He then looked at Luo Jiuchen, who was sitting on the side and watching the show. "Lord, this matter concerns my reputation. Please make a decision and redress this humble one's grievances." Luo Jiuchen nodded slightly. He looked at Ning Xiuma and sighed. "Amo, this time there are both witnesses and material evidence. What do you think? Now that the 6 realms were at peace, no matter which realm's people committed a crime, they would be treated the same. That was why Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing dared to come here in such an imposing manner. Not only did he come to her door, but before Ning Xiuma could say anything, someone came to report that the Underworld's Underworld King, the Beast King of the Beast World, and even a heavenly king from the immortal world had arrived. The demons in Mo Palace all paled. The people from these realms had all come together. Obviously, they had heard about Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing's matter, or perhaps Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing had informed them in advance. That was why they came together to be witnesses. No matter how calm General Manager He Mu was, his expression changed at this moment. He felt that this matter was a bit tricky. He couldn't help but look at Ning Xiuma, feeling guilty. His demon master had just woken up and had to face such a complicated situation. He was afraid that she wouldn't be able to handle it. Ning Xiuma didn't bat an eyelid. She waved her hand and asked someone to invite them in. They were all venerables of their respective realms. They each brought in a few subordinates and bowed to Ning Xiuma and Luo Jiuchen. In just a short while, the extremely spacious meeting hall of Mo Palace was actually a bit crowded. These people were really invited by Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing. According to Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing's explanation, it was to invite more people to be witnesses. Actually, it was because he was afraid that Ning Xiuma, the demon master, would show favoritism. When these people arrived, Imperial tutor Kong Jing became even bolder. Looking at Ning Xiuma, there was even a hint of coercion in her gaze. Devil Master, since things have happened here, shouldn't you give little Ku an explanation? The other kings also said, "Don't worry, Imperial Advisor Kong Jing. The Demon Lord is the Demon Lord of the Six Realms. She won't favor the Demon Realm. She will definitely give Imperial Advisor an explanation." That's right. This Feng Huang is too bold. He actually did such a shameless thing. I believe that the Devil Lord will not be biased. Demon Master. Everyone spoke one after another. Almost all of them were flattering Ning Xiuma on the surface. But in reality, they were all praising her. It was as if she didn't cut this Feng Huang into pieces, it wouldn't be enough to appease the anger of the Six Realms. It would also make the people of the Six Realms bitterly disappointed. After all, Ning Xiuma was only a 16 or 17-year-old girl. She had just arrived on the Gods Demons continent a few years ago. Since these people had seized this opportunity, and with Luo Jiuchen by her side, they wanted to bully her because she was young and inexperienced. They wanted to completely suppress her this time. It was obvious that they wanted to suppress her momentum as the Devil Lord. Naturally, they also wanted to show off their strength to the Demon Realm, which was already like adding oil to the fire. In a situation where the leaders of the various realms were present, if Ning Xiuma favored Feng Huang and didn't punish him, it would definitely arouse the dissatisfaction of these people. They might even follow Luo Jiuchen and directly rebel against her. Chapter 1965. If what Feng Huang had done was true, then it was a crime punishable by death. If Ning Xiuma put righteousness before family and executed Feng Huang, the elders of the Demon Realm would definitely be displeased. After all, Feng Huang was one of the 8 great guardians of the Demon Realm. He was usually loyal to Ning Xiuma and had contributed greatly to the rise and fall of the Demon Realm. If he was executed just like that, the people of the Demon Realm might be disappointed. Moreover, this person was Ning Xiuma's right-hand man. If he was executed, it would be the same as cutting off one of their own arms. This was a difficult situation to deal with. Countless gazes gathered on Ning Xiuma, waiting for her to give an answer. Ning Xiuma sat there the whole time, leisurely twirling a cup of tea in her hand. No emotions could be seen on her beautiful face. These people spoke one after another. She seemed to be listening, but at the same time, she didn't seem to be listening. When everyone was almost done, Ning Xiuma slammed the teacup on the table. "Are you all done?" This casual sentence caused the entire hall to fall silent. Ning Xiuma spoke again lazily. "Since you're all done, let me say a few words." Everyone looked at her. Ning Xiuma looked at Imperial Tutor Kong Jing. "Imperial Tutor, do you want to show the scene in your crystal ball to these people who came later? Do you want them to be your witnesses?" Imperial Tutor Kong Jing snorted. "What's so difficult about that?" He immediately played it again. After all, the scene contained many things that were not suitable for children. The people of the Demon Realm didn't think much of it, but the people of the other realms couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed when they saw this scene. This was especially so for Xian Bo from the Celestial Realm. When he saw the home run, he immediately closed his eyes, indicating that he didn't want to see it. After playing it again, the Imperial Tutor said proudly, "This is ironclad evidence. Everyone, please uphold justice for me." The crowd was stirred up once again, and a new round of criticism began. They all requested that Feng Huang be dismembered or dismembered. When the group of devils saw it a second time, the impact was not as great. The people of the Devil Realm usually did not care about trifles. For some devils, killing, arson, burning, and plundering were common activities. However, after Ning Xiuma took over the Devil World, she was able to obtain a good territory for the Devil World, allowing the devils to truly recuperate and build up their strength. Only then did they manage to live peacefully for a few years. Ning Xiuma then issued a series of decrees, forbidding them from doing those evil things. Only then did they turn over a new leaf. After living for so long, which one of these devils was clean? In their hearts, even if Feng Huang really did it, it was no big deal. Some of the hot-tempered ones even began to quarrel with people from other realms. So what if I rape your wife? You're such a big imperial preceptor's residence, yet you're so lax in guarding it. Your wife deserves to be raped. That's right. Besides, your wife is so ugly. Protector Feng is giving her face by sleeping with her. As soon as these words came out, Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's handsome face was so angry that even his beard stood up. All of you, shut up for this king. Ning Shuama shouted at the irascible devils who could not do anything right, but were more likely to spoil things. General Steward Himu also felt that these devils were too unreasonable, so he simply cast a silence curse on them to make them shut up. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing was furious. Devil Master, can the devil world rely on the devil master's support to bully others like this? The other kings also expressed their condemnation. Luo Jiochen's handsome face also sank as he looked at Ning Shuama. IMO, you can't side with them anymore. They're too unreasonable. IMO, if you can't bear to punish the main culprit, how about this king handle it for you? Chapter 1966. Clearly, he wanted to take the opportunity to establish his authority and suppress her in front of the kings of all realms. This plan was most likely planned by this bastard behind the scenes. If Ning Shuama did not handle it well, she would either lose the support of the people in the Devil Kingdom or become the target of the other 5 realms. If she let Luo Jiochen handle it, not only would the people of the Devil Kingdom be disappointed, but her prestige in the 6 realms would also be greatly reduced. This bastard had a good plan. It was a good plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Everyone's eyes turned to Ning Shuama again. Some were angry, some were looking forward to it, and some were waiting to see a joke. Most of them felt that this little devil master was going to be embarrassed this time. The generals of the Devil Kingdom glared at the people who were shouting fiercely. Naturally, the people from the other realms were not convinced. They held their weapons and confronted each other coldly. It seemed that if a spark was thrown into the field, it would explode with a bang, and it would be out of control. They were all waiting for Ning Shuama's next sentence. If she said something wrong, they were afraid that a fight would break out. The 8 mythological beasts probably heard the movement here and rushed over with little Nianma. They supported Ning Shuama unconditionally and stood silently behind her. The power of the 8 mythological beasts was still very shocking. After all, any one of them could beat up most of the guards brought by the king 100 times over. The kings and state preceptor Kong Jing turned to look at Luo Jiochen. My great lord, you have to do justice. Luo Jiochen slowly stood up. His handsome face, which always had a smile, was now full of frost. IMO, you and I are friends, but I am the guardian of the heavenly law. Naturally, I have to uphold justice for the 6 realms. You, as a guardian, have committed a heinous crime. If you are not executed, it will not be enough to appease the people. Since you can't bear to do it, let me do it for you. A purple light quickly gathered in his palm. Ning Shuama slowly stood up and said slowly, Justice? The truth is not clear yet. What justice can you give to the 6 realms? Her voice was clear and loud, and everyone in the hall could hear it. Everyone frowned. Luo Jiochen also said, Mo, the truth is very clear. The witnesses and evidence are all here. How can it not be clear? Ning Shuama smiled faintly. Wait for me to interrogate him. If Feng Huang has indeed committed a grave mistake, I will not show favoritism. All of you shut up. The last sentence was spoken with a stern expression. She now had a kind of dignity. When she shouted like this, those who were still making a racket felt an indescribable chill in their hearts. Sure enough, they shut their mouths. Ning Shuama's gaze swept across the crowd. Next, I'll interrogate you. Whoever I ask, you'll have to answer truthfully. Luo Jiochen's eyes flashed slightly, and he smiled. Okay, it's better to ask clearly. He sat to the side. Everyone's eyes turned to Ning Shuama, but Ning Shuama's gaze landed on Feng Huang. Feng Huang's acupoints had obviously been hit, and he was injured. His handsome face was red, but he couldn't say a word. Let him go first, Ning Shuama ordered. Everyone wanted to make a fuss again, but Ning Shuama added, if he really did do such a thing, I will personally punish him. I won't allow him to escape. But if he was innocent and was framed, then wouldn't he have been tied up for so long in vain? This sentence silenced everyone. Manager Himu hurriedly stepped forward and used a spell to untie the demon trapping rope on Feng Huang's body. He also unsealed Feng Huang's acupoint. As soon as Feng Huang was free, he immediately knelt. Devil Master, this subordinate has been wronged. State Preceptor Kong Jing's eyes widened, and he wanted to scold her again. Ning Xuema coldly glanced at him. State Preceptor, don't be impatient. What's false can't be true, and what's true can't be false. I'll just give you the truth. Chapter 1967. Ning Xuema glanced at him coldly. Imperial Tutor, don't be impatient. Lies can't be true, and the truth can't be false. I'll just tell you the truth. As expected, Imperial Tutor Kong Jing shut his mouth again. Feng Huang, you can speak now. Ning Xuema spoke. Yes. Feng Huang's face was filled with grief and indignation. Reporting to the Devil Master, Feng Huang was ordered to go to the human world 3 days ago. Someone ambushed me from behind and knocked me unconscious. When I woke up, I found myself in the dungeon of Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's residence. I was so angry that I broke in and killed 3 of his guards and injured one. I was about to break out when Imperial Tutor Kong Jing arrived. He captured me and brought me here. Devil Master, I don't even know what his wife looks like. I don't even know where his bedroom door is facing. How can you talk about rape? Nonsense. My crystal ball clearly recorded your despicable actions. You can't deny it. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing was furious. Ning Xuema glanced at him and said coldly, Imperial Tutor Kong Jing, you've been in the human world for a long time. You're in the court of the human world. What's the punishment for yelling at the court without the permission of the official? Imperial Tutor Kong Jing. This, Ning Xuema's voice was indifferent. Are you saying that the Imperial Tutor doesn't know the law as well as the common people? This time, Ning Xuema grasped the reason. Even if the other kings wanted to side with Imperial Tutor Kong Jing, they couldn't. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing was tongue-tied. He snorted and said, I know my mistake. Please ask again, Devil Master. Ning Xuema turned to Feng Huang and asked, This shows that you're lying. I know a thing or two about your demonic techniques. You can't get close to ordinary people. According to what I know, even if 2 Imperial Advisor Kong Jing were joined forces, they would not be your match. Why was it that you were captured the moment he arrived? Feng Huang lowered his head. Everything I said is true. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing might have been hiding his strength. After he appeared, I was indeed no match for him. I was defeated within 30 moves. Ning Xuema smiled and turned to look at Imperial Advisor Kong Jing. Kong Jing, he said that you captured him. Is that true? Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing choked for a moment before saying, I was indeed the one who captured him. However, he didn't come out of the prison as he said. He came out of my palace. So you're saying that it's true that you captured him? That's right. Ning Xuema smiled again and said, It seems that the Imperial Preceptor has been hiding his strength all the time. That time, when we quelled the Purple Evil riot, the Imperial Preceptor still wanted to hide his strength at such a critical moment. The Imperial Preceptor really hides his strength well. State Preceptor Kong Jing didn't expect her to say this. I didn't hide my strength. I wasn't feeling well during the Purple Evil riot, so I didn't perform at my normal level. As for capturing him this time, it's also because this guy is in prison. Speaking of this, his face suddenly changed, and he immediately changed his words. It's because he was overworked and didn't have enough strength, so he was captured by me so quickly. After saying this, he almost broke out in a cold sweat. He was almost tricked by Ning Xuema and said the word starve in prison for 2 days. Fortunately, he was quick-witted and changed his words in time. Ning Xuema was good at reading people's expressions. Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing thought that he had changed his words seamlessly, but she had already seen through the clues. She had a rough idea of what was going on in her heart, but she didn't show it. She just smiled and said, Feng Huang, are you still a man? You just flirted with that woman for about 15 minutes, and you're already overworked and don't have enough strength? Feng Huang's handsome face turned red. Demon Lord, I really wasn't. Chapter 1968. Ning Xuema continued. Regardless of whether that person was you or not, let me ask you, how long were you bound by the demon trapping rope this time? Did you replenish your food and water along the way? Feng Huang didn't understand why Ning Xuema was asking these questions, and the others naturally didn't know either. Many of them felt that her questions had strayed too far from the topic. A few of them opened their mouths and wanted to speak, but they held themselves back. In the end, Feng Huang answered honestly, I was first trapped in prison for 2 days and didn't eat anything. After that, I was captured and bound by the demon trapping rope for an entire day, and I didn't eat anything either. Ning Xuema turned to Imperial Tutor Kong Jing. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing, is it true that he was bound by the demon trapping rope for an entire day and didn't eat anything? I'm only asking this one question, and you only need to answer this one question. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing paused for a moment. Yes, but what he said about being in prison is false. Ning Xuema stood up and waved her hand, causing the demon trapping rope to fly into her hand. She tugged at it and said indifferently, according to what I know, not only can the person bound by the demon trapping rope not move, but their demonic power will also be depleted. Her gaze landed on the celestial world Xianbo. This item was created by you, so I wonder if what I said is correct. That Xianbo nodded. That's right. Then, according to your understanding of this item, how much demonic power will be depleted after being bound by it for an entire day? That Xianbo frowned. About 30% to 40%. Ning Xuema nodded and didn't ask any further. She turned to Imperial Tutor Kong Jing and asked, Imperial Tutor, your cultivation has increased greatly recently. Did you eat some kind of spirit pill? Imperial Tutor Kong Jing didn't understand what she was trying to say. I didn't eat any spirit pills. I just recovered. Ah, that's really worth celebrating. Ning Xuema smiled. Imperial Tutor, you were full of energy just now, and your face was glowing. It seems like you're in good condition. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing nodded. Well said, well said. Ning Xuema changed the topic. Since that's the case, then please capture Feng Huang again. Let me see the Imperial Preceptor's divine power. As soon as she said that, everyone was stunned. They really couldn't understand why Ning Xuema's trial had gone so far away. Demon Master, what is the meaning of this? Now is the time to investigate Feng Huang's rape case, not for them to compete. Luo Jiuchen was the first to speak. The others naturally agreed as well. Ning Xuema said indifferently, I have my own reasons for judging the case. Don't worry, this martial arts competition won't change anything. I just want to verify one thing. His gaze then shifted to Imperial Tutor Kong Jing and Feng Huang. The two of you must do your best. No one is allowed to go easy on them. It doesn't matter if you kill them or injure them. Feng Huang's eyes lit up. Understood. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's expression changed. This, Ning Xuema asked, could it be that state teacher is afraid? Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing was furious. Why would I be afraid? If I can catch him once, I can catch him a second time. Ning Xuema nodded. You're ambitious. The two of you, please come to the training field. Mo Palace's martial arts training field was also incomparably huge. Everyone stood still in the martial arts training field. Ning Xuema stood beside Luo Jiuchen intentionally or unintentionally. The 8 mythological beasts stood behind her. Little Nianmao, on the other hand, walked to Ning Mo and stood in front of him excitedly. He loved watching people fight. He had a good relationship with Feng Huang, so he cheered for Feng Huang happily. At this time, the two people in the field had already begun to fight. They went back and forth, and there was a storm brewing. Chapter 1969. Gongzi Luo, who do you think will win? Ning Xuema asked Luo Jiuchen with a smile. Luo Jiuchen looked at her and smiled. Gongzi Luo? This seat. Gongzi Luo hasn't ascended to the throne yet, so it's a bit early to call you Lord. I will ascend to that throne. Let's wait and see. Ning Xuema smiled like a flower. She was born very beautiful, and her smile was like a flower blooming in the morning. Luo Jiuchen's heart swayed, and he narrowed his eyes. Imo, I hope you will be there on that day. Ning Xiuma nodded. I will be there. She changed the topic. Gongzi Luo, the Lord of Heaven and Earth, must be impartial and impartial. I wonder if Gongzi Luo can do this? Her voice wasn't soft, and it attracted the attention of the people who were watching the fight. Under everyone's gaze, Luo Jiuchen naturally couldn't say anything else. Of course, Ning Xiuma smiled again. Then this seat can rest assured. It seems that Gongzi Luo won't side with either side in this fight. Luo Jiuchen. Of course. Ning Xiuma turned to the 8 mythological beasts. Did you all hear Gongzi Luo's words? The 8 mythological beasts nodded together. Yes, 8 pairs of bright eyes looked at Luo Jiuchen, paying attention to his every move. Luo Jiuchen's expression wasn't very good. Imo, what do you mean? Ning Xiuma laughed in a clear voice. For the sake of fairness and impartiality, everyone should supervise each other. If anyone dares to side with anyone, then that person will be considered as going against justice. Everyone can gang up on them. Such an order was very fair, and no one had any objections. Of course, those who wanted to play tricks in the dark naturally didn't dare to act rashly under the eyes of so many experts. The 2 people in the field were already fighting fiercely, and after half an hour, the outcome was finally decided. Feng Huang won. Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing lost miserably. If it wasn't for Ning Xiuma's timely intervention and pulling him out, Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing's head would have been smashed to smithereens by Feng Huang. Imperial Advisor Kong Jing's face was pale. I didn't perform well today, and he is also in his best condition. Ning Xiuma chuckled. Imperial Preceptor, you're wrong. Feng Huang hasn't eaten for 3 days, and he's been tied up by the demon trapping rope for a day. It's good enough that he can use 60 to 70% of his power. How can he be in his best condition? Imperial Tutor, you lied just now? Imperial Tutor Kong Jing was taken aback. How did I lie? Ning Xiuma said coldly. Feng Huang was not caught by the state preceptor himself. It was someone else. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's expression changed. Demon Master, you're wrong. I was the one who captured him. Feng Huang can testify to that. Ning Xiuma looked at Feng Huang. Feng Huang, is the move he used today similar to the move he used to catch you? Feng Huang took a deep breath and said, the moves are similar, but the power of that day was more than 10 times stronger than today. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been caught within 30 moves. Ning Xiuma looked at Imperial Tutor Kong Jing. What did the state preceptor say? Did the state preceptor's power suddenly deteriorate today? However, I see that the state preceptor's performance today is similar to when he destroyed Zisha. It doesn't seem like he's performing abnormally. The reason for this situation is that the state preceptor who caught Feng Huang is not the state preceptor today, but someone else. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's expression was very ugly, but he couldn't refute it. Chapter 1970. Luo Jiuchen spoke from the side. Imo, even if Feng Huang was caught by someone else, what does this have to do with Feng Huang raping the state preceptor's wife? Imo, what you need to investigate is the case, not these minor details. Everyone chimed in once again. Ning Xiuma smiled leisurely. Who says it has nothing to do with it? Since State Preceptor Kong Jing has an indistinguishable substitute, who knows if the person who broke into the State Preceptor's bedroom and raped the State Preceptor's wife wasn't someone else? Perhaps someone impersonated Feng Huang and did this kind of shady thing, and then put the blame on Feng Huang, making him unable to defend himself. State Preceptor Kong Jing's old face turned green and red. The Devil Lord is clearly biased towards his subordinate. I have caught him in the act. Could it be that the current Feng Huang is also a fake? Is someone pretending to be him? Ning Xiuma indifferently said, the current Feng Huang is naturally the real one. However, your testimony is clearly different from his. He was plotted against in the mountains and then locked in your prison. When he was caught again, he was only caught for breaking out of prison and was not caught for committing any immoral acts. He lied. State Preceptor Kong Jing was furious. Now it's proven that you were the one who lied first. Ning Xiuma stopped him. State Preceptor Kong Jing choked. Even if this lord did make a mistake in catching him, it is true that he broke into this lord's bedroom and raped my wife. That crystal ball is irrefutable evidence. Ning Xiuma's lips curled up slightly. Then this lord will ask State Preceptor a few more questions. State Preceptor must answer truthfully. Okay, where is the State Preceptor's crystal ball placed? In this lord's bedroom. Where's the bedroom? On the table. Is that table facing the State Preceptor's bed? Yes. Then can this crystal ball record by itself? Or does it need to be controlled by someone? State Preceptor Kong Jing paused. It is activated by itself. According to State Preceptor, it will record everything in the State Preceptor's bedroom at any time. It should be so. Ning Xiuma smiled and said, I didn't know that State Preceptor had such an interest in the boudoir. Could it be that when State Preceptor and Madam made love, this thing also recorded itself? Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's face turned red. This seat will close the crystal ball at that time. Then why did the Imperial Tutor place the crystal ball there? Are you here to keep an eye on your wife? Are you afraid that she'll cheat on you? Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing, that's not it. This crystal ball belongs to my wife. It actually belongs to Madam. Then she must know the function of this crystal ball? Of course. That's even more wrong. Any woman would be shy about this kind of thing and not want others to know about it. Could it be that she likes to record the fun of you and her in the boudoir and likes to watch it for fun when she has nothing to do? Nonsense. This seat's wife is a lady from a noble family. How could she like to do such things? This seat said that this seat and this crystal ball is closed. That's even more wrong. Since this crystal ball has the ability to record itself, and your wife is a lady from a noble family, why would she place this crystal ball in such a position to record the things in bed? Isn't she afraid that one day she will forget to close it and accidentally record you and her that shouldn't be in the picture? She has a good memory. She won't forget. It's better to be safe than sorry. If she knew that this crystal ball had this function, she would have placed it in a more inconvenient place and not in this position. Chapter 1971. Unless he wanted to record on purpose. Everyone, if you had such a thing in your room, would you let it face the bed all day and night? Everyone shook their heads. Normal people wouldn't do that. Ning Xiuma looked at Imperial Tutor Kong Jing with a cold gaze. Unless Imperial Tutor Kong Jing wanted to record something, he wouldn't do that. And what he wanted to record, everyone can see at a glance now. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing clenched his fingers in his sleeves. It's me who has this special hobby. Seeing everyone's subtle gazes, he gritted his teeth and said, I have a hobby of recording the music of my boudoir. I didn't record him specifically. Then according to what Imperial Tutor said, there are other contents recorded in this crystal ball. Why not play a part? Ning Xiuma pressed on. How can I record the music of my boudoir in public? Devil Master, you're making things difficult for me. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing was angry. I didn't ask Imperial Tutor to record the music of my boudoir. Before Feng Huang invaded Imperial Tutor's room, he should have recorded many scenes of your wife alone in the room, right? Why not play it? Because the crystal ball can hold two little things. The things inside are removed every day. That's even more wrong. Could it be that before Feng Huang entered the bedroom, the crystal ball had just removed the things in front, and Feng Huang just happened to start recording as soon as he entered? Then it closed immediately after recording? That's right. Then it closed on its own? After all, Imperial Tutor's wife had just been violated and couldn't cry over it. It's impossible that she jumped up and closed it right after it was done. Imperial Tutor, don't you think so? Yes. Then why did it close on its own? Could it be that the content inside just happened to be full? It couldn't store anything else? Yes. The content was full, so it closed on its own. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing nodded. You're lying again. Ning Xiuma sneered. I've already seen the crystal ball. It can record for at least another 2 hours. If you don't believe me, I can use the crystal ball to continue recording. Imperial Preceptor, do you dare to take out the crystal ball and let me personally verify it? Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's face flushed red. Ning Shuima's questions came one after another. She asked them too quickly and beat around the bush, catching him off guard. It was too late to change his tune now. He steeled his heart and decided to play shameless. I remember wrongly. It was my wife who turned it off the moment she regained her freedom. Ning Shuima smiled. Then Imperial Preceptor's wife is really generous. At that moment, he still wanted to jump down and turn it off. All right, you're right. But why isn't there a scene of the State Preceptor's wife pouncing over to close the crystal ball? You can't be telling me that this crystal ball can be destroyed with a single finger, right? When Imperial Tutor Kong Jing closed the crystal ball's image, he had used his finger to press a red dot on the crystal ball. It was impossible for him to use the void finger. At this point in the case, the situation was more or less clear. The crystal ball was deliberately placed in that position to record this. Moreover, after recording the evidence, someone immediately turned it off. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing was almost speechless. Ning Shuima continued. Also, when I saw the scene in the crystal ball, just now, Imperial Preceptor's wife didn't struggle violently. Instead, it seemed like she wanted to resist, but welcomed it. She even cooperated a few times in the middle. Looking at Imperial Preceptor's wife's situation, it didn't seem like she was looking at a stranger. Instead, it seemed like she was looking at her husband. Chapter 1972. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's old face flushed red. Nonsense. Nonsense. My wife is a chaste woman. How could she be willing to do that? Ning Shuima clapped her hands. That's right. Your wife should know that the person who raped her was her husband in disguise. So, Imperial Tutor Kong Jing sneered. According to Demon Master's words, this king pretended to be Feng Huang and recorded this with my wife to frame Feng Huang. Ning Shuima smiled. Wrong. It's true that you deliberately framed Feng Huang, but the man and woman in the crystal ball are not you and your wife. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing was stunned, and the others couldn't help but say, where did Demon Master's words come from? Could it be that Demon Master knows Imperial Tutor's wife? Ning Shuima shook her head. I don't know. This king deduced this because of the current Imperial Tutor Kong Jing. Let me ask you, if the man and woman in the crystal ball were Imperial Tutor and his wife being intimate, even if they pretended to be someone else, he would still have a psychological shadow. How could he still play it over and over again so calmly? If this king's guess is correct, that man and woman are both pretenders, and Imperial Tutor found someone to put on a show. Which one of these people wasn't a wily old fox? At this moment, their hearts were like mirrors. Countless people looked at Imperial Tutor Kong Jing, waiting for him to give a reasonable explanation. The people of the demon race were all filled with righteous indignation, glaring at Imperial Tutor Kong Jing, all of them rubbing their fists and angrily rebuking him. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing didn't expect Ning Shuima's reasoning ability to be so strong at such a young age, to be able to directly deduce the truth of the matter. However, it was impossible for him to admit to framing Feng Huang. He smiled coldly. Although Demon Master's words are clear and logical, they are just inferences. It's hard to accept. Luo Jiuqin also shook his head and sighed. Mo, these are all your deductions. They can't be true. There are always exceptions to everything. Who knew if this Feng Huang did the exact opposite this time? Demons generally can't be inferred with common sense. His words were obviously biased towards Imperial Tutor Kong Jing. The people from the other realms also looked at each other. Originally, they had believed Ning Shuima's deduction, but now that they heard Luo Jiuqin's words, everyone was suspicious. After all, the demon race had left a very bad impression on the other realms. They were described as cunning, cruel, vicious, and so on. Ning Shuima frowned slightly. It was obvious that Luo Jiuqin was the mastermind behind this matter. His purpose was to force her to submit. Just as she had expected, the fake state preceptor who had captured Feng Huang was Luo Jiuchen in disguise. This state preceptor Kong Jing had been bribed by him, so he had set up such a trap to force her. Now, all the evidence was against her. She had used her sharp tongue and powerful reasoning skills to turn the situation around. But Luo Jiuchen's simple words had wiped out all her efforts. He had a smile on his face the entire time and even looked at her with tender eyes. But he had spared no effort in setting her up. This incident seemed to be a coincidence, but it had been carefully planned. After Luo Jiuchen's smooth operation, the king of the underworld, the king of the human realm, and the king of the beast realm seemed to have been won over by him. Even the immortal realm was watching. And seeing the leaders of the other realms come here at the same time, it was clearly not a coincidence. These people didn't really want to witness the truth, but followed Luo Jiuchen to trample on her demon realm. Sure enough, the king of the underworld and the king of the beast realm spoke one after another, echoing Luo Jiuchen's words. Chapter 1973. Sure enough, the king of the underworld and the king of the beast realm spoke one after another, agreeing with Luo Jiuchen's words. The general idea was that it was impossible to know the truth based on speculation alone. The demon realm had to come up with decent evidence to prove their innocence. If they couldn't come up with it, the other realms would not be convinced. The other realms might completely break off relations with the demon realm when they were in danger. If a wolf wanted to eat a sheep, no matter what reason the sheep came up with, the wolf would refute it. The demon realm was in such a situation now. As the saying goes, everyone kicks a man who is down. The demon realm had been very high profile these few years, which inevitably caused the other realms to be dissatisfied, especially the human realm and the beast realm, who were the most bullied. They couldn't wait to drag the demon realm down and step on them. The immortal realm had a large territory snatched away by the demon realm, so they naturally wanted to take the opportunity to get it back. When Shun Jiuli was alive, he was the supreme god, the supremacy of the six realms. He and the demon master worked together, so the other realms didn't dare to say anything. Even if they were dissatisfied, they didn't dare to show it. But Shun Jiuli's soul had been scattered, and a new supremacy was born. His skills were also extremely high, almost unfathomable. The new supremacy and the demon master didn't seem to get along, and the new supremacy wanted to step on the demon master. The others were all smart, so they naturally followed suit. Firstly, they wanted to curry favor with the new supremacy, and secondly, they all wanted a piece of the pie, so they were desperately trying to find the weak points of the demon realm. Even if they couldn't find a weak point, they had to create a weak point to grab. Although Ning Xiuma was still the demon master, she had not recovered from her serious injuries, and the new supremacy skills were obviously higher than hers. It was the best time to bully her. People liked to step on the weak and flatter the strong, and it was even more so between countries. There were no eternal friends, no eternal enemies, only eternal interests, since these people could ascend to the position of the head of a realm. Which one of them wasn't two-faced? Which one of them was a kind little white rabbit? They were all lions and wolves that ate people without spitting out the bones. When faced with great danger, these people could work together against a common enemy. But when the danger was gone, they naturally began to make plans for their own territories. After all, Ning Xiuma had been a secret agent for so many years. What she understood most was human nature. At this moment, when he saw the expressions of these people, he could naturally guess what they were thinking. Although she despised him in her heart, there was nothing she could do at this moment. She had to find more evidence. Otherwise, the devil realm would be in imminent danger once these people got hold of their weakness and attacked them together. But where would new evidence be easy to find? Luo Jiuchen added fuel to the fire. Amo, do you have nothing to say? Ning Xiuma frowned. Just as she was about to speak, Feng Huang, who had been keeping his head down, seemed to have made up his mind. He raised his head and said, "Don't make things difficult for my devil lord. If I can prove my innocence and prove that this is a false accusation, how are you going to punish the person who framed me?" Everyone looked at each other. Luo Jiuchen didn't take it to heart. "How are you going to prove yourself? Young Master Luo, Please explain how you will deal with the person who framed you. Feng Huang insisted on his opinion. Luo Jiuqin only thought that he was desperate to threaten him. After all, Feng Huang was the person involved. If he could prove his innocence, he would have done so long ago. Why would he wait until now? So Luo Jiuqin was happy to act selfless. If it is proven that this is a false accusation, not only will I restore your honor, I will make the decision to make State Preceptor Kong Jing kowtow to you 8 times. Chapter 1974. Ning Xuema sneered. You did such a slanderous thing and almost harmed my devil race's law protector's life. Yet you think you can just kowtow 8 times and be done with it? If Master Luo is really the master of the 6 realms, is he really so selfless? Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed? Luo Jiuqin was stunned by her words and snorted. Then what will the demon master do? Ning Xuema's gaze fell on Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's face. This lord wants his life. Let others know the price of framing others. Imperial Tutor Kong Jing's expression changed, and he couldn't help but look at Luo Jiuqin. Luo Jiuqin gave him a calm look and looked at Ning Xuema. The demon master is going too far. If Feng Huang can't prove his innocence, then what will the demon master do? Ning Xuema said, I will kill him with my own hands, then use this lord's life to pay for it. This was an unprecedentedly huge bet. Luo Jiuqin's expression changed slightly. He did want to force Ning Xuema to submit and then admit defeat, but he didn't want her life. Imo, what kind of status do you have? How can you bet your life on a subordinate? Ning Xuema raised her head and smiled. That's because this lord believes in him. This lord's subordinate will not be bullied by anyone. Her words warmed the hearts of all the demons. The demon master who advanced and retreated with them was the king they would die for. Since she said this, Luo Jiuqin couldn't say anything else. Everyone's gaze fell on Feng Huang, waiting for him to prove his innocence. Feng Huang secretly gritted his teeth. This subordinate will never rape a woman because this subordinate is a natural eunuch. It was earth-shattering. Everyone's eyes widened, and even Feng Huang's companions were shocked. They had known him for so many years and only knew that he didn't get close to women, but they didn't expect him to be a natural eunuch. This natural eunuch was naturally easy to prove. They just had to examine it. Feng Huang was brought to a quiet room, and each realm sent a person to examine it. Moments later, these people all came out and reported to their masters that Feng Huang was truly castrated. There was not the slightest bit of exaggeration. Since he was a natural eunuch, then the man who had entered the imperial tutor's bedroom and made love with the imperial tutor's wife for so long was naturally not him. Everything seemed to have come to light. Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing probably didn't expect the other party to have such a trump card. His face turned pale for a moment, and he couldn't help but look at Luo Jiuqin. High Lord, he seemed to want to say something, but Luo Jiuqin said coldly, I hate framing the most in my life. Kong Jing, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Without waiting for Kong Jing to speak, Luo Jiuqin had already launched a thunderous attack. This farce ended with Imperial Preceptor Kong Jing being executed by Luo Jiuqin. The people from the other realms could not stay any longer and left one after another. Before Luo Jiuqin left, he smiled at Ning Xuema. Imo, you're very smart. Ning Xuema's lips curled. Thank you for the compliment. Imo, it's not that I don't want to pursue the matter, but I can't bear to see you lose your life. Imo, you're heartless to me, but I can't be heartless to you. These words were transmitted by Luo Jiuqin with deep affection. Luo Jiuqin, I also know that you're behind all of this. I'm giving you face by not exposing you. Ning Xuema also transmitted her voice, not backing down. Ha ha! IMO, you're really too smart. I really admire you. So, I will never give up on you. Luo Jiuqin laughed and left. In this dispute, the demon realm seemed to have won, but Ning Xuema was not relaxed. Chapter 1975. In this dispute, the demon world seemed to have won, but Ning Xuema didn't feel relaxed. She knew that as long as she didn't yield, Luo Jiuchen would continue to target her, and even the entire demon world. This incident was just the beginning. He would probably have many more schemes in the future. Right now, what she needed to do was to be cautious and careful. She had General Manager Himu give the order that no one in the demon world should move recklessly or go to other realms to do things. They should know their place and not let other realms catch them. General Manager Himu naturally did as he was told. The demons in Mo Palace were better off. After all, they were under Ning Xiuma's direct control. Even if they felt stifled, they were still very obedient and behaved with their tails between their legs. However, the demons in Mo Palace weren't the only ones in the demon world. Most of the demons were outside. Besides, demons had always been unrestrained and liked to wander around. If they were confined to one place, it would be better to just kill them. Therefore, there were many demons in the demon world who obeyed in public but opposed in private. They agreed verbally, but they still did whatever they wanted in secret. Speaking of which, it was strange. As long as they left the demon world, they usually didn't return. First, they disappeared, then they would find all kinds of miserable corpses in some place. Every demon's inexplicable death would cause a small commotion in the demon world. When these demons sneaked out, no one told on them. However, once they died, their families would cry injustice and complain to Mo Palace, begging Mo Palace to find justice for them. This kind of thing happened endlessly. General Manager Himu had to deal with this mess every day. He was in a terrible fix. However, he was afraid that Ning Xiuma would be worried, so he didn't report these things. He sent people to deal with them as much as possible. Ning Xiuma was also very busy these days. She stayed in the medicine refining room every day to refine medicine and raise her level. This kind of thing happened again and again, making the already irascible demons even angrier. General Manager Himu, how long are we going to keep acting like cowards every day? A high-ranking demon general finally couldn't help but ask. That's right. Someone is clearly targeting us. As soon as we leave the demon world, no matter if we do evil or not, we will be schemed against by the other realms. Are we going to keep enduring like this? I can't take it anymore. Why should we act like cowards? I want to go out and fight a bloody battle. I don't want to suffer from this coward's humiliation. That's right. This time, someone is targeting our demon realm. Ning Xiuma, who was passing by, heard the noise coming from the front hall. She paused and thought for a moment. Then, she turned around and walked in. In the hall, the demon generals were making a racket. When Ning Xiuma suddenly came in, the entire hall quieted down. Head steward Himu's expression changed. He was afraid that Ning Xiuma would be distracted, so he didn't report to her. Now that she heard about it, he was afraid that she would be sad, Fiend Lord. He took a step forward. Just as he was about to say something, Ning Xiuma waved her hand. She looked around at the demons and said, "Everyone here is a leading figure in the demon world. I'm sure you are familiar with the affairs of the demon world. Before this lord came, what was the situation when the people of the demon world went out?" The demons looked at each other. Demons weren't very popular in the six realms. They lived in remote places and had to disguise themselves every time they went out to fish. Once their identities were exposed, they were like street rats that everyone wanted to beat up. In fact, the situation was even worse than now. Chapter 1976. It was just that after Ning Xiuma unified the devil world, she gave them a few years of peace. After such a long time, it was natural for them to feel uncomfortable and aggrieved when they returned to the dark days. When the demons thought of what happened at that time, the injustice in their hearts finally faded a lot. Devil Master, we all understand your difficulties, and we don't mean to complain. It's just that we've been bullied by people from other realms and feel uncomfortable. Someone bowed and apologized. Ning Xiuma looked at them and sighed secretly. These people were all hot-blooded men, and it was indeed wrong for them to be cooped up like this every day. Everyone, this kind of life won't last long. Hold back your anger for now and wait for an opportunity. Do you understand? Ning Xuema could only say so much. Sometimes she couldn't say too much, so as not to fall into the ears of people with ulterior motives. Her eyes were shining, and although her voice was not loud, it had the power to stabilize people's hearts. The demons finally calmed down. Ning Xuema said again, "Pass down my order. No one in the devil world is allowed to leave without orders. If anyone violates this order, they will be permanently expelled from the devil world. Mo Palace will not be responsible for anything that happens in the outside world." The demons dispersed. Ning Xuema sat there in a daze for a moment, then slowly walked to the medicine refining room. When she passed by a small garden, she heard the conversation of the two little demons again. "I really don't know when this kind of cowardly life will end. Yes, our devil master is really cowardly now. She's being bullied like this and doesn't even dare to fart. I don't know where her original prestige went. Yes, now she only knows how to show off in the devil world. She's nothing when she goes out. I heard that Supremacy Luo held a 6 Realms talk in the celestial world 2 days ago, but he didn't send her an invitation. Actually, I'm curious. Why does she stay in Mo Palace every day? Why can't she go out and communicate with other realms? This way, the people of the devil world won't be inferior when they go out. Who knows? Now, except for our devil world, the other realms are all trying to curry favor with Supremacy Luo. I heard that the other 5 realms got a lot of benefits from him. Sigh. In fact, our devil master should also curry favor with that person. Does she think it's still the time when the supreme divinity was still around? Who is she showing her aloofness to? Exactly. Things are different now. In the past, the supreme divinity was on our side. Even if he didn't stand up for the devil realm, he wouldn't go against them either. But now, this future supremacy doesn't care about this. After all, a mountain can't accommodate 2 tigers. Naturally, he won't tolerate our devil lord. In the future, we will have to suffer even more. The 2 little she-devils talked more and more happily. Later on, they complained about the injustice. Steward Himu, who was by Ning Xuema's side, frowned when he heard their discussion. He wanted to go over and berate them, but Ning Xuema stopped him with a wave of her hand. The more head steward Himu listened, the angrier he became. Ning Xuema, on the other hand, remained calm and collected. When she heard the last part, she smiled faintly and turned to leave. Some people can only enjoy happiness together, but they can't share trials and tribulations. It's fine if you lead them to lead a good life, but once you're bullied, they won't think about helping you turn the tables, but will only complain. This was good too. It helped her see some people and things clearly. Steward Himu didn't wait for her order and went to deal with the 2 little she-devils who were gossiping. During this critical period, any disloyal subordinates couldn't stay in Mo Palace. Chapter 1977. During this critical period, any disloyal subordinates could not stay in the Mo Palace. Those who should be expelled, and those who should be punished. This was the only way to stabilize the people. When Ning Xuema passed by that small courtyard, she leisurely walked in. The little lotus in the garden had already grown 3 green leaves. Each leaf was about the size of a coin. They swayed gently in the wind, and the growth was quite satisfactory. Ning Xuema squatted there and touched the leaf gently with her fingers. She sighed softly. "Julie, I'm very sad. When will you come back? That bastard is getting more and more arrogant." The little lotus leaf swayed gently as if to comfort her. "I haven't seen you for half a month. I really miss you. However, my alchemy skill has been upgraded to level 8. As long as I level up, I can make the heavenly water poison and assassinate that bastard. No matter what, I must make you come back. Nianma and I both need you." Ning Xuema had been working hard these days. She stayed in the alchemy room day and night to improve her level. When she was tired, she would just take a rest. It was not an exaggeration to say that her head was hanging on the beam. As for little Nianma, he was also working hard. Too many twists and turns had made him mature early. He also worked hard every day to practice the martial arts that his father had left for him. Since his father was not around, he had to work hard to become the strongest. He would cultivate to become a god. His father's position must not be occupied by that bastard who dared to bully his mother for too long. He would protect his mother and not let anyone bully her. Ning Xiuma knew that everything that happened recently was Luo Jiochen's doing. He was forcing her to do whatever he wanted. Just like the male lead in some CEO novels, in order to get the female lead, he deliberately created a lot of trouble for the female lead and her family. He even made the female lead's family bankrupt or sent her family members to prison. In the end, the female lead was forced into a corner and had to beg the male lead. The male lead took the opportunity to sleep with the female lead. Then, both of them loved and hated each other. In the end, they had a happy ending. Ning Xiuma sneered every time she read this kind of novel. Now, she began to suspect that Luo Jiochen was the male protagonist of that kind of novel. He had all kinds of tricks up his sleeve. Yes, Luo Jiochen did use those scum male lead schemes. Unfortunately, she, Ning Xiuma, did not have the temperament of a little white rabbit female lead. One day, she would make Luo Jiochen pay the price in blood, make him regret provoking her. In her previous life, little Xiuma had been completely used by this scumbag and plotted to her death. In this life, she, Ning Xiuma, would never walk down the same old path. She would take revenge for her past and present lives. In the past few days, when she was extremely tired or sleepy, she would run to this small flower bed and talk to Xiaohe for a while. The weight in his chest eased. After all, Xiaohe was just a plant. She had been listening quietly. At most, she could only sway her body in the wind, which couldn't give her any extra comfort. Ning Xiuma did not realize that every time she came, Xiaohe's body would sway more than usual. Even the leaves would take the initiative to touch her fingers. In fact, Ning Xiuma did not really expect any response when she talked to her. She just found an emotional garbage to pour out her feelings. After she finished, she would feel better and continue to work hard. Julie, that bastard has been targeting me. In fact, I have also thought of leaving the Devil Kingdom with Nianma and even leave this continent. I don't want him to find me again. Chapter 1978. Julie, that bastard has been targeting me. In fact, I have thought about leaving the Devil Kingdom with Nianma and even leave this continent. If he can't find me, he might let go of the Devil Kingdom. However, I can't find a way to go to other continents. The Celestial Devil Continent is too strange. There is no passage to other continents. If I hide with Nianma, that bastard will create more chaos in the Devil Kingdom to force me out. The situation in the Devil Kingdom will be more chaotic than it is now, and it will be more difficult. She was too tired. As she spoke, she felt a little sleepy. She squatted there, and her body swayed. Then, she fell to the ground. She was shocked and suddenly woke up. When she saw that she had knocked down a large number of flowers and plants, she was shocked. She hurriedly jumped up and looked at her body. She was so shocked that she broke out in a cold sweat. The little lotus was tilted to one side. Obviously, it was hit by her. God, he wouldn't be crushed to death, right? Ning Xiuma quickly stretched out her hand to help it. Strangely, the leaf of the little lotus was struggling to roll one of her fingers. Slowly, it straightened up. Ning Xiuma's entire body stiffened. She looked at the leaf in disbelief and whispered, "Julie." Xiaohe's other leaf stretched out and rubbed against her palm. The delicate leaf gently slid across her palm, bringing with it a faint itch. Ning Xiuma's eyes suddenly turned sour. Her fingers trembled slightly, but her heart was beating wildly. When she saw the little lotus, she only hoped that it was the incarnation of Shun Julie. However, deep in her heart, she still did not believe it. After all, there were so many lotuses in this world. It was not too strange for a lotus to grow in a dry land. She thought that it was the incarnation of Shun Julie. It was a very weak hope, and she did not dare to have too much hope. However, now that she saw the little lotus, her hopes suddenly doubled. Shun Julie had made such thorough arrangements for his funeral. It was obvious that his soul had dissipated and he would never come back. Based on his character, he would not bear to part with Gu Shijio and little Nianma. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he would work 100 times harder to come back. If he couldn't do it himself, It meant that the chances of him coming back were extremely slim. Now that this lotus had suddenly sprouted, was it because of what happened 50,000 years ago, or had she changed it a little? Did it give him hope of rebirth? In order to hide from people's eyes, Ning Xiaomo had also planted other slightly taller flowers in the flower bed, protecting Xiaohe in the middle. This way, when Xiaohe really grew up, it would not be too eye-catching. At this moment, Ning Xiaomo was sitting on the ground of the flower bed, deep in thought. According to what happened before she came back, it was impossible for little Xiaomo to be possessed by the devil. However, the purple evil should have happened, and the 6 realms were destroyed at that time. Otherwise, the 6 realms would have changed. How did the Zisha happen at that time? Could it be caused by the substitute? The substitute was created by Shan Jiuli, so it shouldn't have a normal mind, right? Could it be that she also had a strong resentment when she was tortured? More importantly, the substitute was, after all, a substitute and not the real Devil Lord. Even if the substitute had resentment, she did not have the ability to kill so many people, right? What happened after that? Ning Xiaomo found that the days when she traveled to 50,000 years ago were the same as the days here. Since she had been back for more than half a month should have passed in the other world, right? Chapter 1979. How would Shun Julie react when he realized that the girl in his arms had turned back into little Xiaomo? How did he spend the past half a month? She sighed faintly and stood up. She lowered her head and flicked the dust off her clothes. When she looked up, her body suddenly stiffened. A purple figure slowly appeared in the courtyard. He had white hair and a pair of eyes that were full of smiles as he looked at her. "I am Mo Luo Jiochin." Ning Xiaomo suddenly took a step back and tripped over the soil under her feet. She sat down with a plop and smashed a bunch of flowers and plants. "I'm Mo." Luo Jiochin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He walked over to help her. However, she took a step back in the flower bed and crushed a few more flowers and plants. Then, she supported herself with both hands on the ground and jumped up. With this support and jump, she crushed a few more flowers and plants. Luo Jiochin. Ning Xiaomo finally landed outside the flower bed. She looked coldly at Luo Jiochin. "Mr. Luo, entering without an invitation is tantamount to stealing. As the future lord, how can you do this kind of shady business?" Luo Jiochin sighed. "Mo, you think too much. I just came to see you. I haven't seen you come out these days." "Don't worry," Ning Xiaomo said. She waved her hand and flicked the dust off her clothes. Then, she turned and left. "Mo, why do you have to be so unapproachable? I'm here to deliver the invitation personally." He flicked his finger, and a golden invitation card fell into Ning Xiaomo's hand. "The day after tomorrow, the Tianji Palace of the Celestial World will hold a meeting. Mo, I hope you can attend." Ning Xiaomo snorted. "I'm very busy. I'm not free." She opened the door. The 8 mythological beasts guarding outside heard the commotion and gathered around. They stared at Luo Jiochin like tigers watching their prey, guarding against any sudden attacks. Luo Jiochin smiled. "Mo, don't be so nervous. I won't force you." He turned and disappeared. Ning Xiaomo stood in place for a moment and waved her hand to disperse the 8 mythological beasts. Then, she turned around and returned to the flower bed to inspect the flowers and plants that she had destroyed. The way she fell, sat, and retreated just now seemed to be in a hurry, but she actually had a plan. She definitely wouldn't crush the tree she cared about. Luo Jiochin's sudden appearance was definitely not a coincidence. He was most likely here to investigate her. If he found out that she was particularly interested in this flower bed, he would definitely investigate it carefully. From her actions just now, he could see that she didn't care about the flowers in the flower bed. Instead, it dispelled his suspicions. Fortunately, her skills were outstanding now. Although that bastard was invisible, she was still able to smell his scent in time. If she left the flower bed immediately, it would seem deliberate. Therefore, she continued to pat and play with the flowers and plants without batting an eyelid. Then, she got up and pretended to be startled by the sudden discovery of someone and fell down. As she had expected, there was a traitor in her Mo palace. The dense forest was verdant and lush. Normally, no one would come here easily. At this moment, there was a man in purple standing under a tree. He seemed to be waiting for someone. A moment later, a woman in blue flew over. When she saw the man in purple, she hurriedly knelt down. "My lord." The man in purple was Luo Jiochin. He glanced at the woman in blue. "Is there any new news?" The woman in blue reported. "After my lord left, the Devil Lord threw a tantrum at General Manager Himu. He scolded him for not guarding the place well enough and letting someone in. Then, she went back to her bedroom and hasn't come out since." Chapter 1980. Luo Jiochin nodded slightly and said coldly, "You said that she likes to stay in that side courtyard. I've already checked it out, and there's nothing worth noticing." The woman in blue said, "She often takes her son to that side courtyard to stay for a while. I heard that it used to be the residence of the supreme divinity. Maybe she went there to look at it and miss him." Luo Jiochin snorted. Since he had already checked it out, he naturally didn't care about that side courtyard anymore. Besides, there was no trace of Shun Julie's aura in that side courtyard. It seemed that the woman still couldn't accept this reality. "Keep a close eye on it. If there's anything unusual, report it to me immediately," Luo Jiochin ordered. "Yes, but I'm just a lowly cleaning maid in Mo Palace. Usually, I can't get close to the Devil Master." The woman in blue sighed. "Just ask around. Do you need me to teach you this?" Luo Jiochin's voice was even colder. "Yes." The woman responded again, but lowered her head. "My lord, Mo Palace has strict rules, and rewards and punishments are clear. If someone finds out that I'm a spy, I'm afraid it doesn't matter. Just be careful. Huan, you'll suffer there for the time being. After everything is done, I won't mistreat you." Luo Jiochin's expression became gentle again. The woman threw herself into his arms. "But Huan is still a little scared. Don't be afraid. I'll give you the benefits you want in the future. I just want to stay by your side. I can be your servant. As long as you do well, I'll leave a place for you," Luo Jiochin promised. The woman in blue left with satisfaction. Luo Jiochin stood there, but the corners of his lips curled up, and there was a touch of mockery in his eyes. A lowly little demon wanted to stay by his side? Dream on. I've had thousands of people around me, but I only want you in my heart. Only you have the qualifications to stand by my side. I used you 50,000 years ago." Thinking of this, he paused. His memory seemed to have deviated. In his original memory, it seemed that he had forced little Xiuma to become a demon, but now that he thought about it, it didn't seem to be the case. It wasn't little Xiuma who turned into a demon, but someone else. His original memories were quite clear, but now they were a blur. The memories from 50,000 years ago seemed to be disappearing from his mind. He rubbed the space between his eyebrows and didn't really care. Perhaps it was because he had been trapped in the heavenly Tao bell for too long, but his memories of the bell were gradually becoming blurry. When he first became aware of this situation, he was a little anxious, but as time went on, he did not take it to heart. What he wanted was the present and the future that he could grasp. If he couldn't remember the past clearly, then so be it. He didn't need to take it to heart. He only needed to know what he wanted now. Shun Julie's soul had already dissipated, so IMO would be his sooner or later. She couldn't run. He just needed to put in more effort behind her back. He didn't believe that when she was abandoned by everyone, she wouldn't obediently throw herself into his arms. When the time came, he would give her the best compensation. Before that, he still had to do what he had to do. Devil Master, it's been investigated. The traitor this time is Ahuan. In the secret room, General Manager Himu reported to Ning Xiuma. Ning Xiuma nodded. It was as she had expected. Fortunately, that demoness wasn't by her side, but just a maid who cleaned. Chapter 1981. Thinking of this, her heart skipped a beat. She had been mesmerized by Gong Huanyan's obedient and clever facade, so she hadn't been too wary of her. If Shun Julie hadn't chosen her as his companion, perhaps Gong Huanyan would still be by her side now. People like Gong Huanyan were the easiest to bribe in times of crisis, so the traitor now might be Gong Huanyan. If Gong Huanyan was the traitor, she would definitely be more dangerous than Ahuan. And Shun Juli seemed to have expected this day, so he took action in advance to get rid of this unstable factor for her. Devil Master, should we get rid of Ahuan? General Manager Himu asked. Ning Shuama shook her head and suddenly smiled. Don't alert the enemy. We can also make use of her. The so-called Six Realms Talk Conference was similar to a modern cocktail party. The venue of the conference was also chosen to be a magnificent and incomparably high-class place. The Red Clouds Palace of the Immortal World was especially suitable for this. The Red Clouds Palace was located at the top of a mountain, and the only passage was the White Jade Path. Early in the morning, the kings of the various realms arrived with their elites on various kinds of transportation. Some are riding rare birds and strange beasts, some are riding cloud palanquins, and some are riding horse carriages. Of course, the horses pulling the carriages weren't ordinary horses, but the famous Pegasus. All kinds of auspicious clouds lingered, and all kinds of propitious vapors rose. Now that Luo Jiochin was very popular in the Six Realms, it could be said that he was destined to be a person who could cover the sky with one hand. Naturally, the people of the Six Realms didn't dare to provoke him and had to give him face no matter what. Therefore, no one dared to not come when he sent an invitation. When they met on the road, they exchanged greetings with each other, and it was quite lively. The king of the underworld was a smooth and slick person. He was also very scheming and was very close to Luo Jiochin. He was now considered Luo Jiochin's confidant. He came on a blue lawn because he didn't like to have many people, and this time he came for a talk, so he only brought 4 subordinates. It was easy for him to follow. His 4 subordinates' mounts weren't as fast as his bird, so he was at the front. Seeing the Red Clouds Palace in front of him, he was about to urge the blue lawn to go down when suddenly a clear bird cry came from behind him. A person riding a fire phoenix caught up to him. Hell King. The Netherworld King turned his head subconsciously and was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect to meet this person, but he still saluted him on the back of the green phoenix. Demon Lord. The woman on the fire phoenix was none other than Devil Master Ning Shuama. She was dressed in red and riding a fire phoenix. Her entire being was as dazzling as a burning cloud. Ning Shuama smiled. Since we've met, it must be fate. Let's go together. She flew side by side with him. Naturally, the Nether King couldn't reject her. Although he knew that the Devil Master wasn't on good terms with Lord Luo, Lord Luo seemed to be interested in her. It was hard to say if they would become a family in the future. What's more, he also understood this demon lord's martial arts. Even if there were 100 of him, he wouldn't be her opponent. If he really offended her, he was afraid that he would die very miserably. Ning Shuama and he traveled together. They chatted about this and that, and seemed to be very close, but they didn't talk about anything important. The Nether King didn't know what her purpose was, so he could only deal with it. Naturally, they met several groups of people from other realms along the way. Ning Shuama was also strange. Whenever she saw other people catching up with them, she would slightly distance herself from the Nether King. After those people greeted them and overtook them, she would fly side by side with him. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the main venue. Ning Shuama was slightly behind and smiled at the Nether King. Nether King, you can go down first. I have something else to do, so I'll go later. Chapter 1982. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the main hall. Ning Shuama was a little behind them. She smiled at Pluto and said, Pluto, you can leave first. I have something else to do. I'll go later. Pluto was looking forward to her saying that. Luo Jiochin was suspicious by nature. If he found out that she was close to the Devil Lord, he might misunderstand. Therefore, he casually bowed to Ning Shuama and said, Then I'll leave first. Then, he hurriedly left as if it was a ghost chasing after him. Ning Shuama rode on the fire phoenix in the sky and then slowly flew down. After all, Ning Shuama was the Devil Lord. 3 years ago, she had swept across the 6 realms and defeated all the troublemakers. Her deeds were still fresh in people's minds. Therefore, the leaders of the 6 realms did not dare to offend her. Although they were puzzled by her sudden arrival, they still had to greet her. In the past half a month, the situation had changed drastically. Everyone in the six realms knew that the new Lord and the Devil Lord were not on good terms and were deliberately targeting each other. In the past half a month, the Devil Realm also behaved themselves. Almost no one in the Devil Realm left their realm. Obviously, the Devil Lord was not as good as the new Lord. Since the new Lord was targeting her, the others naturally did not dare to be close to her. After a few words of greeting, they dispersed as if they were afraid that she was infected with germs. Although there were many people in the hall, Ning Xuema's surroundings were empty. There was not a single person around her. Ning Xuema did not care. The layout of the hall was really a bit like a banquet. There were tables for all kinds of fruits, wine, and dishes. There were all kinds of food, sea, land, and air. There were also all kinds of flowers in the middle. Maids and servants walked around, adding all kinds of things. These big shots were not here to eat and drink, but to bond. Therefore, they stood in groups of 3 or 5, standing there and talking. Only Ning Xuema stood by herself. No matter where she went, the people there would find an excuse to leave on their own accord. Ning Xuema smiled slightly. She was used to this scene in the human world, but she did not expect the people in the 6 realms to be so snobbish. She did not purposely join anyone. Instead, she sat alone in a corner and slowly tasted the wine. In fact, the Netherworld King had been paying attention to her all this time. He was afraid that she would try to get close to him again, so he didn't know whether to reject her or not. He had even thought of all the excuses he would use to leave if Ning Xuema came over to talk to him. However, he didn't expect that after Ning Xuema came in, she didn't have any intention of talking to him. She didn't even look at him. When she came down, he had no choice but to come over with the others to greet her. Her expression was also indifferent. Her eyes swept over his companions, but never met his gaze. It was as if she was deliberately distancing herself from him. The more she acted like this, the more uncertain the Nether King felt. When she was unusually close to him, he was worried and wished he could push her away and stay far away from her. She purposely gave him the cold shoulder. While he was relieved, he couldn't figure out what she was up to. He couldn't help but look at her from time to time, and all of this fell into a pair of eyes that were constantly monitoring this place. The owner of this pair of eyes was Luo Jiuchen. Of course, with his noble status, he would not go so early to avoid losing his status. Although he didn't come, it didn't mean that his eyes didn't. At this moment, he was sitting by the lake in Fantion Palace. In front of him was a water mirror. The mirror showed the scene inside and outside Yinsha Palace. Chapter 1983. The scenery shown in the water mirror could be adjusted at will, and he could look wherever he wanted. From the moment Ning Xuema appeared on the water mirror, her appearance was reflected. Ning Xuema's every action, every word, and every action were all clearly recorded on the paper. Of course, there was only a picture on it and no sound, but it was enough for Luo Jiuchen to see something clearly. He naturally saw the cold treatment Ning Xuema received in the hall, and he couldn't help but smile. This girl knew that the 6 realms were no longer the 6 realms of the past. If she wanted to live well in the 6 realms, she had to hold the thigh of the new lord. Only he could give her what she wanted, including status, identity, and love. Ning Xuema rode the fire phoenix and flew side by side with Pluto in the sky. The two were talking and laughing, and Luo Jiuchen naturally saw them. In fact, he didn't like Ning Xuema to be too close to any man, and he felt uncomfortable when he saw them. However, in the end, he was still a gloomy person. His schemes were quite deep. Seeing Ning Xuema and the Hell King talking and laughing, he couldn't rule out the possibility that she was aware of her awkward situation and wanted to form an alliance with the Hell King to her side. However, later on, he saw that Ning Xuema and Hades were deliberately avoiding people when they were chatting. Furthermore, Hades was also acting a little sneakily. Thus, he began to have some suspicions in his heart. However, his suspicions were not big. Now, Ning Xuema ignored Pluto in the hall, and Pluto peeped at her from time to time. There seemed to be something wrong between the two of them. The underworld, the demon realm, and the devil realm were the easiest to form a faction, and their relationship was better than the other factions. Was there really a secret relationship between Pluto and Ning Xiumo, the Devil Lord? Luo Jiuchen was originally a suspicious person, and now he was even more suspicious. He also paid more attention to the subtle interaction between Ning Xiumo and Pluto. He saw that Pluto finally finished chatting with others and went to the dining table to get food alone. Ning Xiumo just stood up and went to the dining table to get a flat peach not far behind Pluto. And Luo Jiuchen had seen Pluto pick up the flat peach and put it down. After Ning Xiumo took the flat peach, she left the dining table and went back to her seat. Ning Xiumo was not in a hurry to eat it. Instead, she let the peach spin in her palm. A faint white light flashed, and something seemed to fall out of the peach. Ning Xiumo quickly hid it in her sleeve. After that, she looked to her left and right. There was no one around her. She smiled and rested her hand on her forehead, as if she was taking a nap. However, her pair of eyes looked at her sleeve for a moment before pursing her lips. She lowered her sleeve, and a small wisp of light, white smoke came out of her sleeve and drifted away. Luo Jiuchen's fingers suddenly clenched. Yesterday, a Huan spy, who was hiding in Mo Palace, sent a message to him that there seemed to be something wrong between the Devil Lord and Pluto. The Devil Lord received a new letter, which was personally handed to him by General Manager Himu. A Huan happened to be nearby, and after seeing the Devil Lord receive the letter, she took a look at it and let General Manager Himu follow her into the hall. A Huan quietly followed them to eavesdrop. Her cultivation was low, and she was afraid that the two people would find out, so she didn't dare to get too close. She faintly heard something like Pluto, insider, and can't be known to others. She didn't hear the details, but she suspected that Pluto and the Devil Lord were involved, so she sent a message to Luo Jiuchen. Luo Jiuchen was already a little suspicious of Pluto, and now that he saw this scene in the water mirror, his suspicion almost burst out of his chest. Chapter 1984. Pluto. Good. Pluto. One suspicious action could be explained as a coincidence, but with so many suspicious things connected together, it was impossible for Luo Jiuchen not to be suspicious. This Pluto was the first to surrender to him, and acted as if he was loyal in front of him, but it turned out that he was a spy for the Devil Lord. Ning Xiumo's actions were quick and efficient. She looked at the things in her sleeves and directly destroyed them without making sound. There were so many people in the hall, so no one noticed. If Luo Jiuchen hadn't been watching her with the help of the water mirror, he wouldn't have seen all this clearly. No one knew that he could condense a water mirror to monitor the lower realm, except for Shun Juli 50,000 years ago. Shun Juli was dead, and before he died, Luo Jiuchen was not released from the Heaven Dao Bell. Shun Juli wasn't a talkative person, so he probably wouldn't tell Ning Xiumo about Luo Jiuchen. Ning Xiumo didn't know that he had this kind of power, so it was very unlikely that she was deliberately acting in front of him. In all likelihood, Pluto was her confidant and deliberately surrendered to him to be a spy. Fortunately, he had the water mirror to see all this, otherwise he wouldn't know that he was betrayed by Pluto. Luo Jiuchen's eyes flashed with a touch of ruthlessness. At such a critical time, he wouldn't allow anyone to be disloyal to him. His eyes were fixed on the water mirror, staring at Ning Xiumo's delicate face. He reached out his finger to touch the water mirror, as if he was touching her delicate cheek. Mo, you'll be mine. Back then, I was the one who found you first, so I am your fated one, not that man. The water mirror shook, and a person suddenly appeared in the water mirror. To be exact, he appeared next to Ning Xiumo. That person was an immortal, handsome and tall, wearing a blue robe that fluttered in the wind. Luo Jiuchen's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew this person. It was the strongest person in the immortal world, Yi Tianli. Luo Jiuchen knew about Yi Tianli. He knew that he almost became Xiumo's fiancé. He also knew that one of his hands was destroyed by Ning Xiumo. The relationship between the two of them was actually a little subtle. Luo Jiuchen stared at the mirror and saw that Yi Tianli seemed to say something to Ning Xiumo with a smile. Ning Xiumo was lazy and ignored him. However, Yi Tianli sat opposite her with a glass of wine in his hand. He smiled and seemed to be saying something. Ning Xiuma's fingers tightened around the wine cup. She coldly glanced at Yi Tianli and said a few words. The two of them seemed to have quarreled with each other, causing the other people in the hall to look at them. Ning Xiuma raised her hand as if she wanted to do something, but she restrained herself and turned to leave. Luo Jiuqin touched his chin. Although he couldn't hear what the two of them said, he could tell from their expressions that they didn't get along well. In all likelihood, Yi Tianli took advantage of Ning Xiuma's downfall to take revenge on her. He said a few strange words that made Ning Xiuma unhappy, and the two of them parted on bad terms. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Luo Jiuqin understood this very well. Perhaps he should pull Yi Tianli under his command. Although one of his hands was disabled, it wasn't incurable. If he cured Yi Tianli's hand, he wouldn't have to worry about Yi Tianli's loyalty. Luo Jiuqin was thinking when the voice-transmitting talisman on his waist suddenly lit up. He glanced at it and picked it up. A delicate female voice came from it. "My lord, should we set off?" Chapter 1985. Luo Jiuqin was calculating when the sound transmission talisman on his waist suddenly lit up. He glanced at it and picked it up. A crisp female voice came from it. "Lord, should we set off?" Luo Jiuqin smiled. Okay. It was time for him to make an appearance. Luo Jiuqin's appearance was very grand and solemn. He came in a golden carriage pulled by 8 heavenly horses. The carriage was given to him by the Sky Emperor. It was very luxurious and tasteful, and also very suitable for his status. He came in a purple robe, which was very eye-catching, as if he was the only one in the world. When the carriage appeared in the sky above Yunxiao Palace, the sky was filled with rosy clouds and auspicious lights, almost blinding people's eyes. Everyone heard the noise and came out. They watched as his carriage slowly circled around the Red Cloud's palace. This time it flew down. Because he had not officially ascended to the position of the Lord of Heaven and Earth, according to the rules, everyone did not need to kowtow to him. They only needed to bow and clasp their sleeves. The higher the level, the more rules they paid attention to, so no one present was rude. Everything was done according to the rules. He didn't come alone. The person who came down from the carriage with him was a woman with a cloudy hairstyle. The immortal world did not lack beauties, and this woman was obviously the best of the best. She had a pair of phoenix eyes, a high nose, and thin lips. She looked cold and strong. Ning Xiuma recognized this beauty. She was the Heavenly Emperor's younger sister, a fairy who had achieved enlightenment in cultivation. Her name was Tianhuan Clam. It was said that this woman had very high standards and would not marry anyone who was not the world's #1 man. She once liked Yi Tianli. However, Yi Tianli did not care about any woman at that time. She gave up after being rejected by him. Later, Yi Tianli took the initiative to pursue Lord Imo. Although Yi Tianli did not succeed because of Shun Julie's interference, it still made this fairy very uncomfortable. When she saw Ning Xiuma, she always felt an inexplicable hatred and did not like her. Fortunately, Ning Xiuma did not travel much in the 6 realms, so the two of them had very limited opportunities to meet. Ning Xiuma had been in the God's Demon's continent for more than 3 years, but she had only seen this fairy twice. After Ning Xiuma became the Devil Master, she had always been lazy. As long as no one provoked her, she would not find trouble with anyone. Naturally, she didn't have any interactions with this heavenly illusion puppet. Ning Xiuma only faintly felt that this woman had a trace of hostility towards her, but she didn't take it to heart. Now, she was with Luo Jiuqin. She actually walked down from the carriage hand in hand and stood side by side with Luo Jiuqin. She seemed to have accepted everyone's greetings. Ning Xiuma sat there without moving, playing with a glass of wine in her hand. She was the Devil Master. Even though Luo Jiuqin had secretly mocked her, her status was still there. Even if Luo Jiuqin ascended to the position of Master of Heaven and Earth, she would still be on the same level as him. Moreover, he had not ascended to this position yet. Naturally, there was no need to bow to him. Luo Jiuchen exchanged greetings with everyone. He looked noble with a sense of alienation, and in that alienation, there was a sense of intimacy between a superior and a subordinate. In short, his posture was very good. His eyebrows were dissolute, and he looked proud of himself. He exchanged greetings as he walked inside. Finally, his gaze fell on Ning Xiuma, who had been sitting there without moving. He smiled slightly and greeted her condescendingly. "The Devil Master is also here. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." Chapter 1986. He cupped his hands at Ning Xiuma. Ning Xiuma smiled faintly. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Luo." She still didn't get up. Seeing her sitting there lazily without any intention of lifting her, but Tian Huancher's pretty face tensed up slightly. She said, "Demon Master, Lord Luo is the Lord of heaven and earth. Isn't it unreasonable for you to just sit there when he greets you?" Ning Xiuma's eyes slightly shifted as she shot a glance at the heavenly illusion puppet. She indifferently asked, "Who are you?" "I'm Tian Huanmei, the celestial Thearch's sister. Your brother has to bow to me." "Who are you? You're poking at me like that. Do you want to talk to me about reason?" Tian Huanmei was speechless. She blushed. I'm Lord Luo's fiancé." Ning Xiuma smiled. "Oh, really? Congratulations." He then changed the topic. "Don't even mention that you're his fiancé. Even if you're already his wife, he's still not the master of heaven and earth. When you see me, you should still bow down." Tian Huanmei was speechless. She couldn't help but tug at Luo Jiuchen's sleeve. "Lord," she wanted him to stand up for her. Luo Jiuchen had been staring at Ning Xiuma's face, hoping to see a trace of disappointment on her face. She didn't look disappointed at all. A dark light flashed in his eyes as he looked at Ning Xiuma with a smile that wasn't a smile. "Devil Master, for my sake, can you forgive her for this bow?" Ning Xiuma twirled her wine cup and answered absent-mindedly, "I've never cared about these customs. If it wasn't for your excellency's fiancé who came to me to ask for a courtesy, I wouldn't bother to bicker with her." This small disturbance passed just like that. The conference officially began. Tian Huanmei had said that she was the new Lord Luo's fiancé, and he didn't refute it. She had been calling herself the new Lord Luo's fiancé throughout the conference. This caused everyone who came this time to intentionally or unintentionally curry favor with her. Gradually, with her as the center, they would toast to her from time to time. On the other hand, Ning Xiuma sat there alone. No one came to talk to her. With her as the center, there was a large empty space around her. It was unavoidably lonely, and it gave others a feeling of desolation. As for Luo Jiuchen, he was like the sun at this moment, attracting all the light to himself. No matter where he went, he was a dazzling and invincible existence. Although he had not yet ascended to the position of leader, he already had the strength of a leader. It could be said that he was the most pleased with himself at this conference. Ning Xiuma was drinking wine when a shadow appeared in front of her. A person was standing in front of her. Ning Xiuma raised her head and saw a handsome face full of pride. "Child Luo, what's the matter?" Luo Jiuchen sat down opposite her, shaking a glass of wine in his hand. "Nothing. I came to have a drink with you." Ning Xiuma curled her lips and didn't say anything. She casually glanced at Tian Huanmei. "Aren't you afraid that she will be jealous?" Luo Jiuchen stared into her eyes. If you are willing, I am willing to give you her halo." Ning Xiuma smiled. "Thank you, but I don't want it." Luo Jiuchen sighed softly. Why are you so stubborn? If you continue like this, your days will be very difficult. Why don't you walk on the sunny road and walk on the single-plank bridge?" Ning Xiuma took a sip of wine. "Maybe the single-plank bridge suits me better." Chapter 1987. Luo Jiuchen saw that she was so stubborn, and a dark light flashed in his eyes. You will regret this." Ning Xiuma sighed. "I've heard you say this countless times." Luo Jiuchen smiled. "Is that so? I believe this will be the last time you hear it." As if he had decided something, he got up and walked away. Ning Xiuma still didn't move. She took a sip of the wine in her cup, and a waiter poured her another cup. Before she could touch her lips, her vision darkened again, and a woman sat down in front of her. There seemed to be a lot of flies and mosquitoes today. Ning Xuema looked up and saw the smug face of the sky illusion puppet. Devil Master, you look so lonely. Snow Shark, come have a drink with you? Ning Xuema didn't say anything and just took a sip of wine. The sky illusion puppet looked a little condescending and smiled slightly. Devil Master, there is a saying that a wise man submits to circumstances. Why do you always have to go against the Lord? Ning Xuema still didn't bother to pay attention to her. The sky illusion puppet was obviously here to persuade her, and she said a lot more. The general idea was that now was different from the past. Now it was the Lord's world, and she, the Devil Master, was just a king in the devil realm. She had to be respectful to the Lord. She said a lot, but Ning Xuema just sat there and ignored her. When the sky illusion puppet first said these words to her, she was afraid of angering her, so she didn't dare to say anything too outrageous. Naturally, she didn't dare to get close to her. Later, when she saw that the other party didn't respond, she thought that Ning Xuema was afraid. The more she talked, the more excited she became. In the end, she even said that Ning Xuema, the Devil Master, should kneel 3 times and cow down 9 times when she saw her, the future queen. Before she could finish her proud words, a cup of wine poured directly over her head. She didn't look like she was drenched by a cup of wine, but more like she was drenched by a bucket of wine. Her hair and clothes were wet from head to toe, and the wine dripped down her dress. What was even stranger was that a wine glass was placed upside down on her head, shaking with her movements. The fragrance of the wine was so strong that the sky illusion puppet froze. After a while, she screamed, "You!" The wine glass above her head seemed to be unable to withstand her high decibel and exploded with a bang. She screamed again, and the pieces of the wine glass fell to the ground, making a crisp tinkling sound. The commotion here had obviously alarmed everyone in the hall, and countless gazes were directed in this direction. Ning Xuema sat there without moving, but the wine cup in her hand was gone. Although the buildings in the immortal world were steaming with auspicious energy, they were full of immortal aura. However, the heavenly prison was just like any other heavenly prison in the mortal world. It was narrow, dark, and the corners of the walls were covered with straw. Beneath their feet were cold jade bricks produced in the extreme north. When they stepped on them, they felt extremely hard and cold. Ning Xuema was sitting on a pile of straw. She was bound by chains that locked her psychic power. Whenever she moved, the chains would jingle. The heavenly prison in the immortal world was also divided into 3, 6, and 9 levels. The lighter crimes were in the highest level, where there were beds, tables, and even windows. Through the windows, one could see the sky outside. The heavier crimes were in the middle level, where the rooms were narrower and the beds were bare wooden beds. In any case, the rooms were still clean, and there were no rats or fleas jumping around. The lowest level was underground. It was dark and damp, narrow and small. If a person turned around, they would be able to touch the wall. Moreover, it was only half a meter high. Even Ning Xuema, who had a petite figure, would not be able to stand up. She could only sit or squat down. Chapter 1988. There was no bed here, only a bundle of straw that could barely block the cold air from the ground. Ning Xuema was no stranger to prison after crossing over, but this was the first time she was in a prison in the immortal world. And she was in the first place, sitting directly on the lowest level. She sat cross-legged on the straw, and even the straw couldn't block out the cold air from the cold jade brick. It drilled into her skin, and she felt as if all the blood in her body was about to freeze. She sighed softly. This was really a bloody case caused by a glass of wine. She just poured a glass of wine on the head of the heavenly illusion clam. Of course, this glass of wine looked like a glass of wine, but it was actually a barrel of wine. But Ning Xuema didn't use any telekinesis, and the heavenly illusion clam was a 5th-level heaven realm cultivator. Not to mention a barrel of wine. Even if a jar of wine was poured, it should be nothing but embarrassing. But she didn't expect the heavenly illusion clam to be so weak. Not long after being poured, her whole body started to tremble and quickly froze. Before anyone could see what was going on, she directly froze into an ice lump and exploded with a bang. Her flesh and blood were all over the hall. If it was just a glass of wine, it would at most be a prank. But the person died because of this glass of wine, and in such a tragic way. The other party was the Heaven Emperor's sister, and could be considered a princess. This unforeseen event naturally caused an uproar, and Ning Xiumal, the Devil Lord, became the target of the arrows. She came to the banquet alone this time, and didn't even bring a servant with her. Once she was surrounded, there was no one to help her. Moreover, her power hadn't fully recovered, and in the end, Luo Jiuchen personally took action. So in the end, Ning Xiumal was caught and sent to the prison to wait for the joint trial of the Six Realms. Luo Jiuchen even found a prison partner for her, and this partner was none other than Hell King. This was because Luo Jiuchen found out that the sky illusion clam wasn't killed by the wine. Instead, it was poisoned by an ice nether poison in the wine. This ice nether poison was very powerful. If someone drank a drop of it in the wine, it would freeze their internal organs. If the wine was mixed with half a bottle and poured over a person's body, it would create the same effect as when the sky fantasy clam died. This poison was the Nether King's signature treasure, and he was the only one in the Six Realms who knew how to make it. The wine was poured by Ning Xiumal, and the poison was poured by Yama. Therefore, in Luo Jiuchen's brief judgment, it was obvious that the two of them colluded to kill the Tianhuan puppets. As a result, Ning Xiumal and the Nether King were captured and locked in different prisons. The Nether King naturally cried out loudly, but Luo Jiuchen found the other half bottle of ice nether poison on him. With such a witness and material evidence, it was useless no matter how loudly the Netherworld King cried out. Ning Xiumal heard that the Netherworld King was locked up in the prison next door. However, the soundproofing of the prison was very good. She didn't hear any movements from the Netherworld King. Even if he was shouting, he was probably tired. The prison was surrounded by walls, and even the walls were made of cold jade bricks. You couldn't lean on them, because once you leaned on them, you would be frozen. If you wanted to break free, you would have to shed a layer of skin. Ning Xiumal knew the power of the cold jade bricks, so her sitting posture was very standard, and she didn't touch the wall at all. You couldn't see the door in the prison. Only when the prisoners were interrogated, the front wall would slowly open a big hole, and the prisoners would be pulled out or thrown in. Ning Xiumal had been sitting inside for 2 days. Because her psychokinesis was sealed by the chains on her body, she was now like an ordinary person. Chapter 1989. Ning Xiumal had been sitting there for 2 days. Because her psyche power was sealed by the chains, she was now like an ordinary person. Sitting in this position for a long time inevitably made her waist and legs sore. She sat there and moved her arms and legs. She felt that all her joints were stiff and frozen into ice lumps. After a while, she slowly reached out and touched the corner behind her. An umbrella-shaped mushroom had grown out. The mushroom was cold and soft, and it was quite smooth to the touch. Ning Xiumal touched it gently with her fingers. Then she bit her finger and dripped a drop of blood on it, hoping that the mushroom would grow faster. The ingredients of this poison of heavenly water were too abnormal. No wonder Shun Julie only made 46 kinds of mushrooms. The other 3 kinds grew in very strange places, and the growing conditions were very harsh. Among them, this cold underworld red mushroom was the most strange. It only grew in the darkest prison in the immortal world, and the ground was cold jade bricks. And this prison must have held a few prisoners who had been sentenced to death. Because the prison was not exposed to sunlight all year round, the resentment of the prisoners would condense and linger in the prison all year round. The most important point was that there must be a powerful demon in the prison. The demon's blood was used as a fetus to absorb the resentment of the prisoners. Only then could this strange mushroom grow. This was the most crucial ingredient to concoct the heavenly water poison. Ever since Ning Xiumal knew about this herb, she had been pondering over it. After pondering for half a day, She felt that she was the only one who could complete this difficult task. So she came to this meeting with the idea of getting into big trouble and being sent to prison. She knew that Luo Jiuchen always wanted to find trouble with her and teach her a lesson so that she could really surrender to him. As long as she gave him this opportunity, he would definitely seize it. It was easy to get into big trouble at such a meeting. When Ning Xuema was thinking about it, the Tianhuan puppet came to her door. Ning Xuema's original intention was to provoke the Tianhuan puppet, and then they would fight. Then she would beat the other half to death, which would be enough for her to be sent to prison for a few days. Who would have thought that the heavenly fantasy clam would freeze and explode after being doused with a glass of wine? Ning Xuema was extremely intelligent. When Luo Jiuchen found out that the Nether King was her accomplice, she completely understood. It turned out that Luo Jiuchen also had the idea of locking her up. The heavenly illusion puppet was just a chess piece that he casually threw out. After being poured a glass of wine, the heavenly illusion puppet turned around and threw herself into Luo Jiuchen's arms. Luo Jiuchen took the opportunity to poison the heavenly illusion puppet with the ice nether poison. It seemed that Luo Jiuchen was really suspicious of the Netherworld King. This move could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. Vicious and spicy enough. As a result, Ning Xuema was sent to the celestial prison as a matter of course. Moreover, it was very much to her liking. She lived in the most important prison in the celestial prison. That bastard Luo Jiuchen was too understanding, and in order to teach her a big lesson, after locking her up in the celestial prison, he did not ask about her at all. He probably wanted to lock her up for 10 days to half a month to dampen her spirit and then interrogate her. The small mushrooms that Ning Xuema planted could only be harvested after 3 days. Now that 2 days had passed, she only needed to wait for one more day. When the small mushrooms were fully grown and ready to be harvested, she would be able to leave this damn place. She would be able to leave freely without taking away a piece of cloud. Since she dared to come here with a plan, she naturally had a way to escape. Now, she just had to wait for the small mushrooms to grow up. She closed her eyes to rest. Suddenly, the wall in front of her creaked and slowly split to both sides. Her heart skipped a beat. Could it be? He was going to interrogate her today? That bastard Luo Jiuchen couldn't keep his cool. Chapter 1990. A person appeared at the door. He wore a flowing purple robe, had a tall and handsome figure, and slightly curved lips. Even if he wasn't smiling, he seemed to be smiling. It was Luo Jiuchen. Ning Xuema had been in the dark for a long time. When she saw the light outside, it was a little dazzling, so she closed her eyes. She didn't move. The moment the door opened, she used the back of her robe to cover the small mushroom. Amo, I've made you suffer. Luo Jiuchen bent over and walked in, sitting across from her. He looked her up and down, and pity appeared in his eyes. You've lost weight. Ning Xuema ignored him and was too lazy to open her eyes. Imo, it's not that I want to make things difficult for you, but the situation forced me. You shouldn't have killed her. Now that the Celestial Emperor has lost his sister, he's unwilling to forgive you. Luo Jiuchen said. Ning Xuema's lips curled up, but she didn't say anything. From what she knew, the Celestial Emperor and this sister didn't have a good relationship. This sister of his was strong and domineering. She liked to use her brother's name to cause trouble, but she didn't respect her brother at all. When she was angered, she once pointed at the Celestial Emperor's nose and called him a good-for-nothing. She and her 3 sisters-in-law were like fire and water, saying that they were outsiders and that she and the Celestial Emperor were blood relatives. Ning Xuema felt that the Celestial Emperor's family might be setting off firecrackers to celebrate the death of this Tian Huanclang. Unwilling to forgive? Even if he really was unwilling to forgive, it was instigated by Luo Jiuchen. This was originally a vicious scheme to frame her, and it was led by Luo Jiuchen. At this time, it was useless to talk to him, and it would be a waste of her saliva. So no matter what Luo Jiuchen said, Ning Xuema didn't say a word. Luo Jiuchen said a lot, but it was nothing more than that he pitied her in his heart. However, as the leader, he had to be fair. If he forcefully stood up for her, the six realms wouldn't accept it. His words were full of helplessness. In the end, he changed the topic. Imo, the situation is very unfavorable for you. If this goes on, I'm afraid you'll have to go to the lightning god platform. Even if I want to protect you, I'm afraid I can't do it without a proper reason. Only if you change your identity, then I can stand up for you. The lightning god platform was equivalent to the immortal execution platform. It was the place where the immortal realm punished criminals on death row. Generally speaking, once someone was on that platform, they could forget about coming down. The criminals would be struck by heavenly lightning on that platform. If it was light, the lightning would scorch their flesh and leave behind a few strands of their soul for reincarnation. If it was serious, it would directly cause one's soul to scatter and vanish from the world. Ning Xuema finally opened her eyes. What identity? Luo Jiuchen looked at her clear black and white eyes, and his heart swayed. Even he didn't know what was wrong with him. Every time he saw Imo like this, he had the urge to hug her. He stared at her. The best identity is my wife. No one would dare to make things difficult for the wife of the Lord of heaven and earth. She knew that this was his ultimate goal. Ning Xuema smiled and declined to comment. Isn't it said that if the emperor breaks the law, he will be punished the same as the common people? Luo Jiuchen chuckled. That's just an excuse to fool the common people. People with honorable identities naturally dissociate themselves from the law. Ning Xuema glanced at him. Isn't the heavenly Tao particular about fairness? Aren't you afraid that the heavenly Tao will punish you? Luo Jiuchen sighed. Imo, you're too naive. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. How can there be so much fairness in this world? The heavenly Tao only protects the six realms. It's fine as long as it doesn't go astray. You will never be the master of heaven and earth again. You will be locked in the heavenly Tao bell. Luo Jiuchen smiled. Don't worry, I will remember. I don't even want to hurt you. If you didn't do anything wrong this time, I wouldn't be able to arrest you. Well, you can think about it again. Do you want to walk in the sunny path or walk on your lonely wooden bridge? He turned around and was about to leave. Suddenly, his nose twitched. Why is there a smell of blood here? Ning Xuemo raised her hand. The chain on her wrist made a clanking sound. A layer of skin on her wrist was scratched by the chain, and blood oozed out. Chapter 1992. She didn't speak, but it was obvious where the smell of blood came from. Luo Jiuchen's footsteps paused. You've suffered again. He took out a bottle of medicine from nowhere and wanted to apply it on her. Ning Xuema abruptly withdrew her hand. Luo Jiuchen's fingers stiffened. He took a deep breath and indifferently said, This place is not a good place. You should leave a way out for yourself. He placed the bottle on the ground and walked out with large strides. The prison closed again. Ning Xuema let out a sigh of relief. She waved her sleeve and swept the bottle of medicine left by Luo Jiuchen to a corner. With a flip of her wrist, a blood-red talisman slowly appeared in her palm. She looked at the talisman for a moment and gently stroked it with her fingers. The talisman lit up, and there was a conversation inside. It was the conversation between her and Luo Jiuchen. Ning Xuema's lips hooked up. She let out a sigh of relief and put the talisman back into the storage space again. Luo Jiuchen still underestimated her. When she was caught, Luo Jiuchen used a spell to search her clean. Even the things in the storage space were not spared. So when Ning Xuema first came into the prison, it could be said that she was empty-handed and had nothing. Her telekinesis was trapped by the demon sealing chain, so she couldn't condense any other magic treasures. That was why Luo Jiuchen was so unscrupulous when he spoke just now. He dared to admit and say anything, because he knew that his words couldn't be spread outside and the people outside couldn't hear. And Ning Xuema couldn't do anything to him. Even if she ran out and yelled, who would listen to her? He didn't expect that the demon sealing chain on Ning Xuema's body had been tampered with. Ning Xuema still had 1/3 of her mental power. It was easy to secretly condense a blood-red sound storage talisman. With this sound storage talisman, it would be an irrefutable evidence to overthrow Luo Jiuchen in the future. Putting away the sound storage talisman, Ning Xiuma turned back to look at the strange little mushroom. The little thing was unharmed and stood there red. It looked exceptionally delightful. Ning Xiuma let out a sigh of relief. Not bad. Everything is going according to plan. As for the pain she is suffering right now, it's just a little flesh wound. For her, it's nothing. She only needed to endure for one more day, and she would almost succeed. A day passed very quickly. At noon on the second day, the small mushroom finally lit up, and the mushroom cap grew bigger. Ning Xiuma immediately picked it up. After processing it a little, she put it into her storage space. She let out a long sigh of relief. Success. Now, all she had to do was to wait for reinforcements to arrive at midnight. Because this little mushroom needed to be nourished by her blood at all times, she had to give it a drop of blood every hour. Ning Xiuma had cultivated it with great difficulty, so she didn't dare to lose it. Therefore, she didn't even sleep for the past 3 days. Now that the little mushroom had been successfully harvested, Ning Xiuma let out a sigh of relief, but also felt sleepy. She yawned and closed her eyes, wanted to take a nap to pass the time. But as soon as he closed his eyes, he immediately fell asleep. The sparkling lake, the winding wooden corridor, the soaring serpent, and the black tortoise squatting on both sides of the road. Everything was so familiar. Ning Xiuma floated in the air and looked at the little girl fishing by the lake. She was a little confused. She had transmigrated. She transmigrated again. Chapter 1993. She had traveled back in time again. The little girl by the lake was the little devil, Xiuma. She still looked 12 or 13 years old. At this moment, she was squatting by the lake and fishing seriously. There were already a few fish bubbling in the bucket next to her. Her fishing posture was a little strange. She squatted there with a golden knife. It was the first time in Ning Xiuma's life that she had seen such a fishing posture. She could not help but take a few more glances. She had little Xiuma's memory. Little Xiuma was lively and could not sit still. Today, she was squatting here and fishing without moving. It was rarer than the West. Ning Xiuma was also very familiar with this big lake. It was the big lake in the Fantian Palace that was covered with colorful rays. This big lake was full of spiritual power, and the fish in the lake were also colorful. From time to time, there were colorful waves flashing in the fish bucket. Little Xiuma held the fishing rod firmly in her hand, but there was a little impatience on her face. She muttered, "Fish, fish, take the bait. Fish, fish, take the bait." Ning Xiuma looked at her bucket and saw that there were already 8 fish bubbling in it. She raised her eyebrows in surprise. She knew very well how difficult it was to catch the fish in this lake. The bait needed to be very special, and the hand holding the fishing rod could not shake even a little. As long as the hook was cast, it could not move before the fish was caught. It was silent like a statue for a long time. This kind of fish was also known as the time-sharing fish. As long as the fishing method was right, one could catch one in 2 hours. In the beginning, the characteristics of this fish were told to her by little Nianma. At that time, she commented, "This is a crazy fish raised by a crazy person." It turned out that this kind of fish existed 50,000 years ago. She had personally fished it 50,000 years ago. Ning Xiuma looked at little Xiuma. She did not expect this little girl to be so patient. Looking at the fish in her bucket, she had been here for 16 hours. Where was Shunjili? Where was he? Ning Xiuma already knew that the time in her time travel was parallel to the time in the other world. A few days had passed over there, and a few days should have passed over here as well. According to what Mother Earth said, little Xiuma fell into the hands of the devils and was tortured for 10 days before being rescued by Luo Jiuchen. In that case, the substitute should have fallen into Luo Jiuchen's hands. That bastard was not an ordinary kind of shrewd. She wondered if he had realized that the one he had rescued was a substitute. How did Shun Juli spend the past half a month? Before changing history, when little Xiuma was suffering in the demon world, Shun Juli was recuperating in a nameless mountain. By the time he recovered, little Shuama had already begun to destroy the world, creating a disaster. But this time, Shun Jili was fine. He should have gone to check on the substitute, right? At the very least, he should see what Luo Jiuchen was up to. Could it be that he wasn't here now because he was keeping an eye on Luo Jiuchen? Ning Shuama tried her best to think about the history that Mother Earth had once told her. In that history, little Shuama was rescued by Luo Jiuchen 10 days later. She then recuperated at Luo Jiuchen's place for 7 days before recovering completely. At that time, Luo Jiuchen used some unknown method to make little Shuama recover to her original state in a short span of 7 days. Her cultivation even doubled a few times. On the 8th day, little Shuama killed her way back to the demon realm and massacred that place. According to that history, exactly 18 days had passed. Could that substitute have replaced little Shuama to destroy the world? Did Shun Jili get rid of her? Countless thoughts whizzed to and fro in Ning Shuama's mind, and her heart thumped wildly. Chapter 1994. Countless thoughts whizzed through Ning Shuama's mind, and her heart thumped wildly. She really wanted to find Shun Jili. She had not seen him for only half a month, but she already missed him a lot. However, ever since she transmigrated here, her soul had been floating around little Shuama. She couldn't go more than 3 feet away from her, and she couldn't look for him anywhere else either. Since she couldn't move, she could only float in the air and watch. She actually wanted to pounce on little Shuama and possess her. However, she didn't know if it was the wrong time, but she couldn't pounce on her and almost slipped into the fish barrel. Ning Shuama was actually a little flustered. It would be fine if she transmigrated in Mo Palace, but she transmigrated in the celestial prison. The ground was so cold. If she stayed here and couldn't go back, would her body on the other side be frozen into a lump of ice? She didn't know what would happen if the people who came to pick her up at night saw her dead and stiff body. Although she really wanted to see Shun Jili, this was really not a good time to transmigrate. Ning Shuama even wanted to go back quickly. However, she didn't transmigrate by her own will, and she didn't go back by her own will either. She struggled a few times in the air, but she was pulled back to within 3 feet of little Shuama. Therefore, after a long, fruitless struggle, she could only hug her arms in a corner and watch little Shuama fishing in boredom. Then, she was surprised to find that little Shuama changed her posture when she fished. She changed her posture every time she fished a fish. When Ning Shuama first saw her, she was fishing in a squatting position. After she caught a fish, she changed to fishing in a golden rooster position. The last posture was leaning forward, which was a difficult posture like an airplane taking off. Ning Shuama was dumbfounded. She didn't understand what was wrong with her. However, seeing that she had maintained the same posture for 2 hours without moving, she knew that little Shuama had recovered a lot of her kung fu. Oh, right. When she left, Shun Jili promised that he would heal her in 10 days. Now, more than half a month had passed. Could it be that little Shuama was fishing in such a strange position to recover her kung fu? Indeed, it was quite torturous. Ning Shuama felt tired for little Shuama. When the 10th fish was caught, little Shuama shouted happily and threw the fish into the bucket. She lowered her head and rubbed her sore arms and legs. Then, she picked up the bucket and ran away. Ning Shuama naturally followed behind her. Little Shuama's kung fu had almost recovered. She lifted the bucket and flew straight to Shun Jili's study. "Jili, I've caught 10 fish." Little Shuama shouted before she entered the room. There was no movement in the room. Shun Jili always had the ability to remain calm, even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. Even if he was in the room, he would not answer. Little Shuama seemed to understand him deeply. After shouting, she pushed the door and went in. The study was quiet. Shun Jili was not in the study. Little Shuama was stunned. Ning Shuama also quickly glanced around the study. There were open books and notebooks on the desk. Shun Jili obviously went out in a hurry. The books and notebooks were open. Ning Shuama first looked at the words on the notebooks. Her heart skipped a beat. The handwriting on the notebooks was a little messy. There were a few words: time travel, future, past. Then she looked at the open book. There was some very advanced kung fu on it. They were all about space jumping and so on. Chapter 1995. Ning Shuama clenched her fists. Could it be that Shun Jiuli in this life had realized that she was from the future, so he was studying this kind of technique? The more she thought about it, the more likely it was. Just as she was about to read the content of the book again, little Shuama turned around and ran out. Ning Shuama naturally couldn't help but follow her out. "Julie! Julie!" Little Shuama shouted loudly. No one answered. Only little Shuama's voice echoed in the vast Fantion palace. Did he go out? No. He always tells me when he goes out. Little Shuama frowned and muttered to herself. After thinking for a while, she simply searched the entire Fantion palace. After half an hour, little Shuama finally found Shunjuli in a waterside pavilion. Seeing the waterside pavilion, Ning Shuama couldn't help but sigh. 50,000 years later, that bastard Luo Jiuchen lived in this waterside pavilion, so she felt a little scared when she saw it now. The waterside pavilion was actually very elegant. It had light blue floating gauze, ebony structure, and cornices that were arched like swallows. The windows in the waterside pavilion were all open. Looking in from the window, they saw Shun Juli sitting upright beside a long table. His eyes were slightly closed as if he was meditating, but at the same time, he seemed to be lost in thought. There was wine on the long table, but there were no dishes. There were a few wine jars lying around him. Ning Shuama was stunned. She had been in contact with Shun Juli for so long, and she had always seen him drinking tea. She had never seen him drinking wine, let alone so much. Ning Shuama walked around him and looked at his slightly closed eyes. She was a little puzzled. Was he asleep or meditating? Also, did he drink all this wine? He didn't look drunk at all, Julie. Little Shuama walked in with the bucket in her hand. Shun Juli, who had been sitting with his eyes closed, finally opened his eyes. When he first opened his eyes, he looked a little confused. He looked at little Shuama's face and looked at her without saying anything. Julie, I've caught 10 fish today. Can you stew it for me now? Little Shuama sat down opposite him and rubbed her legs. My legs are so sore. Shun Juli responded. His reaction was a little slow, and so was his thinking. His eyes fell on the bucket of fish again, but he didn't do anything. Ning Shuama had never seen Shun Juli like this before. She widened her eyes in curiosity. Was he really drunk? Little Shuama rubbed her legs for a while. When she raised her head, she saw that he was still staring at the bucket of fish. She was a little surprised and waved her little hand in front of his eyes. Julie? Her little hand was suddenly held by his hand. His eyes finally turned back to her face. His eyes were very calm, and there didn't seem to be much difference from usual. Even his waist was straight, and his sitting posture was upright, as if he was meditating. He stared at her little face and didn't respond for a long time. Little Shuama was puzzled. She was scared by his stare. Julie, what's wrong with you? Shun Juli slowly raised one hand and gently brushed her hair. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Shuama. He finally opened his mouth and his voice was steady. Why aren't you back yet? Little Shuama. Wasn't she right in front of him? I've already started to restore your kung fu. Why aren't you back yet? Little Shuama hugged one of his arms. I've always been in front of you. Julie, what's wrong with you? Shun Juli looked at her and then looked at the bucket of fish beside her feet. He whispered, I can't find a way. I can't find a way. Chapter 1996. Little Shuama was confused, but Ning Shuama's heart skipped a beat. Shun Juli was looking for her. I'm here. Ning Shuama was unable to possess little Shuama's body at the moment, so she simply flew in front of him and hovered in front of him. I'm here. Julie, I'm here. Unfortunately, Shun Juli could not see her. He sat there for a while, then suddenly walked out with little Shuama's bucket of fish. Little Shuama was speechless. She was afraid that he would release the fish she had caught, so she quickly followed him out. Julie, I want to eat all the fish you made, Shun Julie did not release her, but found the biggest fish in the bucket. He quickly scraped the scales and removed the internal organs. The fish was bloody. He shook it with his hand, then picked it up and looked at it. I need to wash it. Suddenly, he jumped into the water. Little Shuama was speechless. Ning Shuama was speechless. Now, she was sure that Shun Julie was really drunk. Even if he was drunk, he was so different. He looked normal, but the things he did were very different from usual. The moment Shun Julie jumped into the water, he sank to the bottom like a cannonball. Little Shuama waited anxiously by the shore for a while, but she did not see him emerge. She was worried and shouted at the lake a few times, but there was no movement from the lake. Even the ripples caused by him jumping into the water had disappeared. Oh no, did he drown at the bottom of the water? Ning Shuama turned around and jumped into the water without thinking. However, after she jumped into the water, she remembered that she was a spirit. She could only float on the water surface and could not go down at all. Splash! Little Shuama finally jumped into the water. Little Shuama was not good at swimming. She was probably too anxious, so her legs cramped not long after she jumped into the water. She struggled in the water and choked on a mouthful of water. Oh no! Little Shuama failed to save her and drowned again. Ning Shuama rushed over and tried to pull her away. However, the moment her fingers touched Shuama's body, Ning Shuama's vision went black. A moment later, she felt her nose and throat burning, and there was a buzzing sound in her head. It was obviously a symptom of choking. She suddenly opened her eyes, and her lips twitched. She had successfully possessed another body. Ning Shuama was a good swimmer. She rushed to the surface of the water in an instant. After taking a deep breath, she dived into the water. She quickly found Shun Julie at the bottom of the water. After seeing his condition, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Shun Julie was actually sitting upright in the water, holding the fish that he had just slaughtered. His eyes were drooping, as if he was meditating or lost in thought. He probably heard the sound of water, so he looked up and saw her rushing down. He was a little puzzled. What are you doing here? His skill was high, so he could speak in the water. Ning Shuama had the urge to give him a slap. Why couldn't he meditate anywhere? Why did he come to the bottom of the water to meditate? She thought that he had fainted from choking. She went forward and pulled his sleeve, sending him a telepathic message. Follow me up. Shun Julie raised his sleeve and avoided her pulling. He frowned slightly. Let me be alone. You're too noisy. Ning Shuama was speechless. She swam to the opposite side of him and looked at him. His expression had been very calm, and his every move revealed a kind of innate elegance. He was really no different from usual. However, the things he did were a little silly. Ning Shuama, who was originally troubled, could not help but laugh. She simply waited for him at the bottom of the water to see how long he would stay there. Chapter 1997. She decided to stay at the bottom of the lake and wait for him. She wanted to see how long he would stay there. Shun Julie began to perform spells in the water. His fingers moved swiftly, changing his hand gestures from time to time. A white light emerged from his fingertips, stirring up whirlpools of various sizes in the water. Ning Shuama was almost swept away by the whirlpools of various sizes. She hurriedly reached out and grabbed his sleeve, trying to stabilize her body. Shun Julie felt that she was a burden. He waved his sleeve, and Ning Shuama flew out happily. Ning Shuama was speechless. She steadied herself and turned around to look at him. She saw Shun Julie sitting in the middle of the whirlpool. The big whirlpool beside him was surrounded by small whirlpools. It looked a little strange. However, he was sitting there motionless, as firm as Mount Tai. What kind of kung fu was he practicing? The Divine Lord was a little strange these days. Ning Shuama touched her chin and pondered. After she successfully possessed Shuama, she received little Shuama's memories for the past half a month. After knowing that she had left, Shun Julie realized that the person in his arms had changed. He was not very calm. For the past 2 days, he had been constantly probing her. From time to time, he would feel her pulse. Even at night, when the two of them slept in the same room, little Shuama would occasionally wake up and find him standing in front of her bed, looking down at her. Every time she woke up, he would look at her for a while, as if he was trying to find something from her eyes. Then he sighed, rubbed little Shuma's head, and said, "Go to sleep." Then he went back to his own bed. His abnormal behavior made little Shuama puzzled, but even if she asked him, she wouldn't be able to get any answers. Therefore, little Shuama attributed all these to the Divine Lord's recent divine path. 2 days later, the Divine Lord began to study something in his study room day and night. However, he kicked little Shuama out to fish by the lake. Moreover, he was fishing in a fancy way. The number of fish that needed to be caught increased exponentially. If she caught 1 fish today, she would need to catch 2 the next day. Little Shuama could not sit still. At first, she fished by the lake for a whole day, but she did not catch a single fish. If she could not catch anything, she would not eat. Little Shuama had lost her psychokinesis, so she could not abstain from food. Although she was not as hungry as ordinary people, her stomach would still be hungry if she did not eat for a day. Therefore, she was exceptionally well-behaved the next day. She forced herself to be patient and fished for half a day. Finally, she caught a palm-sized fish. She happily went to show it to Shunjuli. Shunjuli then used the fish to make a soup for her. Although little Shuama was small, her appetite was not small. Such a small fish was not enough to fill the gaps between her teeth. She begged Shunjuli to find more food for her. However, once Shunjuli hardened his heart, he would not listen to her. Since he had said in advance that she would eat as many fish as she caught, he did not leave any room for negotiation. He did not even give her an extra fish bone. For the sake of her stomach, little Shuama had to fish by the lake all day long. This Divine Lord had so many rules that it made people angry. When he asked little Shuama to fish, she had to change several positions after catching a few fish. She could not be careless at all. Little Shuama thought that he could not see her in the study room. She also thought that some of the positions were too difficult and tiring. Therefore, she played tricks a few times and used the most comfortable position to catch a few fish. She thought that she could get away with it. However, she did not expect that although Shunjuli was not watching her by the lake, it was as if he had installed a radar on her body. He could tell which fish she caught in troubled waters at a glance. Chapter 1998. Shunjuli's punishment for her sneaky behavior was horrible. If she played any tricks, he would release 2 more of them. There were 2 days when little Shuama didn't eat any fish. Instead, she was punished with a few fish. After such a punishment, little Shuama finally learned her lesson. She didn't dare to play any tricks in front of him. Fishing was really a way to train one's willpower. After being tortured by him for more than 10 days, little Shuama became much quieter and more obedient. More importantly, the fish was very nutritious. Not only did it help her recover quickly, but it also helped her to recover her power. The only drawback was that it was too tiring to fish in different ways. Every day, her back would ache and her legs would cramp. If it wasn't for little Shuama's leg cramping in the water, Ning Shuama wouldn't have been able to possess the body successfully. Ning Shuama remembered that before she left, Shunjuli promised her that he would help her recover her power in 10 days. He said that she would suffer a little. Could it be that this strange fishing method was a way to recover her power? Actually, it wasn't that bad. More importantly, little Shuama was the one who suffered the most. After she arrived, little Shuama's power of mind had recovered by half. She had gotten a great deal. Ning Shuama was absorbing little Shuama's memory while she was thinking. She wanted to see when the Almighty would wake up. She had never seen Shunjuli drunk before. This was an eye-opener. She swam over slowly and approached the edge of the whirlpool. She transmitted her voice to him. "Julie, what are you doing?" Shunjuli lowered his eyes slightly. His fingers were still forming a seal, as if he didn't hear her. There were more and more whirlpools around him. These whirlpools were in all kinds of shapes. There were whirlpools in the shape of tornadoes, mushrooms, and even 6-petal flowers. Ning Shuama tilted her head and watched. She didn't quite understand why Shanjuli had created so many whirlpools. Every time Shanjuli created a new kind of vortex, he would reach out his finger to feel the vortex for a moment, then shake his head as if it was not the vortex he wanted. Then he would look down and think for a moment, then continue to create a new one. Ning Xuema had once studied the books in Shanjuli's study room. Many of the books were personally written by Shanjuli. In other words, a lot of his martial arts were self-created and not learned from others. Could it be that he was creating a new cultivation technique? Ning Xuan suddenly thought of the words he had written in his study: time travel, the past, the future, and her heart skipped a beat. Could it be that he was also researching ways to travel to the past and the future when he was drunk? Looking at those vortexes again, they looked a little like the space-time vortexes that one would see when traveling through space-time. She remembered that when she was with Shanjuli, she seemed to have unintentionally mentioned space-time vortexes. His heart was actually still thinking about finding her, wasn't it? Ning Xuema's heart suddenly felt warm. She now understood that 50,000 years ago, the Almighty's feelings for little Xuema were more like the love an elder had for a younger generation. At the very least, he hadn't really fallen in love with her, but everything had changed. After she had traveled through time, Shanjuli had fallen in love with her after she had traveled through time. That was why he couldn't forget her. It was obviously the same body and the same soul, but they had two different personalities. She didn't know if Shanjuli thought that she had schizophrenia. He was actually able to distinguish between them so quickly, which was also a kind of ability. Ning Xuema looked at him with interest. It was rare to see a drunk almighty. Let's do a small survey. What time do people usually read books? Roll around all kinds of tickets? Ha ha ha. Chapter 1999. Shanjuli was so focused on creating the whirlpool that he even forgot about the fish that he had already slaughtered and threw it aside. The fish was swept out by the whirlpool and rushed to Ning Xuema's side. Ning Xuema caught it and looked at Shanjuli, then looked at the fish in her hand and touched her rumbling stomach. She said decisively, "Guru, you practice here first. I'll go up and roast the fish and wait for you. Turn around and swim upstream." She had just swum up 2 or 3 meters, but before she could jump out of the water, she suddenly heard the sound of water splashing. Her waist was tightly held, and she fell into the arms of a person. Ning Xuema turned around and saw Shanjuli's shining eyes. "What? Did you call me?" His voice was slightly hoarse. This person was drunk, but still so fast. Ning Xuema blinked her eyes, and her eyes were full of innocence. "Julie?" Shanjuli's arms stiffened slightly, and the strength of holding her loosened a little. "No, what did you call me just now?" Ning Xuema blinked again. "Divine Lord." Shanjuli stared in her eyes, and Ning Xuema stared back at him curiously. The two of them looked at each other for a moment. Finally, the light in Shanjuli's eyes dimmed, and he slowly let go of her. He raised his hand to rub his forehead and whispered, "Was I hallucinating?" His voice was very soft, but Ning Xuema still heard it clearly. She sincerely explained to him, "I think you're drunk. It's not a hallucination." Shanjuli frowned and returned to his indifferent look. "I'm not drunk. I never get drunk when I drink." Ning Xuema's heart skipped a beat. Generally, people who got drunk would never admit that they were drunk. This was common sense, so Ning Xuema automatically ignored his previous explanation. However, she was interested in the last sentence. People who were drunk often had to think in reverse. He said that he would never get drunk after drinking. Did that mean that he would get drunk every time he drank? Ning Xuema's eyes sparkled. Shanjuli's body sank down again, as if he wanted to sink back into the water to meditate. Ning Xuema ignored him and continued to swim upstream. When she was about to reach the surface of the water, she turned back to look at him. He was slowly sinking. The great deity was indeed a great deity. Even in the water, he could sink as deep as a Buddha. The water was extremely clear. Ning Xuema watched as he slowly sank, his clothes floating in the water. That scene was too beautiful to behold. Almighty, I deeply feel that your sinking water diagram can also be painted into a painting and framed for people to worship. Ning Xuema could not help but tease him. She turned over and swam upstream again. Her kung fu had not recovered much. After staying in the water for so long, she felt a little suffocated. She had to come up to the surface to breathe in the fresh air. However, before her mouth and nose could come out of the water, her body was pulled by a huge force and suddenly sank down. Almost in the blink of an eye, her body was locked in an embrace again, and she could no longer move. Shun Jili looked down at her. His deep blue eyes seemed to be turbulent, but his face was calm. He slowly said, "I heard it. It's not a hallucination. You call me Almighty." Ning Xuema pretended to be confused. "What's wrong with calling you Almighty? You're back, aren't you?" Shun Jili held her body tightly. Haven't I always been here?" Ning Xuema blinked again. She resisted the urge to reach out and hug his neck. Every time she fell into his arms, she wanted to hug him back. Shun Jili did not say anything. He just kept looking at her. Chapter 2000. However, Xuema didn't want to stay in the water with him. She was really suffocating to the point of panic. She could not help but struggle a little. "Well, let go of me first. Let me go up and take a breath first. I'm suffocating." Shun Juli's eyes flashed again. Suddenly, he lowered his head and kissed her on the lips, making her swallow the rest of her words. Ning Xuema's head buzzed. She had always been unable to resist Shun Juli's kisses, especially when they had not seen each other for half a month and had missed each other so much. She could not help but open her mouth slightly, wanting to respond to him. However, he took a breath first. That breath still had a faint smell of wine, but it was unusually refreshing. It went into her lungs and opened her lungs, which were a little lacking in oxygen because of suffocation. It was so comfortable. Ning Xuema could not help but stick out the tip of her tongue to tap his teeth, wanting to get a little more from his mouth. Shun Juli's eyes darkened, and he directly kissed her deeply. Ning Xuema did not know how many times he had kissed her in her life. Once he started, she automatically began to respond. Their lips and tongues intertwined. Their breaths and movements were incomparably familiar. It was as if they could ignite the fire in the deepest part of their hearts, making it burn automatically when their lips and tongues intertwined. A deep kiss was enough to make each other's blood boil. A deep kiss seemed to be able to soothe the uneasiness and anxiety in their hearts. During the deep kiss, Ning Xuema could not help but wrap her arms around his neck. It was a familiar action, a familiar person, and a familiar desire. After the kiss, Ning Xuema opened her eyes and saw Shun Juli's eyes that seemed to be able to drown people. At this moment, his eyes were shining. He had recognized her. He must have recognized her from his kiss. Little Xuema was not as skilled as her, and her cooperation would not be so high. Damn it, he actually used this method to verify. Ning Xuema raised her hand and saw that she did not grow older. She still looked like a 12 or 13-year-old. "Hey, you molesting a young girl." Ning Xuema accused him first. However, her emotions were still surging, so her voice was a little hoarse. It didn't sound like she was criticizing him, but more like she was acting coquettishly. Shun Juli didn't say anything, as if he was afraid that she would run away. His left arm was still around her, but his right hand flashed a ball of white light that enveloped her whole body. A moment later, he smirked. "How about this?" Ning Xuema didn't need to look at herself to know that she had grown bigger again. She had become more suitable for him to do whatever he wanted. Although they were in the water, she could feel that his body was burning hot. The arm around her waist was so hot that it wanted to pull her into his body. His body temperature made her heart beat wildly. After all, they had done it so many times that she was already familiar with his body. He looked at her with a deep gaze, and his lips curled into a faint smile, like a child who had just pulled a prank. Ning Xuema's heart skipped a beat. He was usually cold and arrogant. It was the first time she saw such an expression on the Almighty's face. Was he still drunk, or was he already sober? Ning Xuema was a little uncertain, so she deliberately provoked him. "You're forcing me to mature." It doesn't count. My original body is that of a young lady, 1,200 years old, Shuma. Shun Julie touched her lips with his finger and said in a low voice, "If you didn't eat that lousy flour, your child could be a soy sauce now." Ning Shuama was shocked. The Almighty also knew how to talk about soy sauce. Needless to say, the Almighty remembered those words that she used to whisper in his ear. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.